Hello everyone, welcome back to Beyond the Veil Tarot and Astrology. My name is Candace Marie. Thanks for joining me. I'll be your astrologer and your tarot reader today. It's Friday, we're here, it's live on November the 8th, 2024. So if you guys are watching me on Saturday or Sunday, I'm no longer here, but you guys can catch me next Friday. We're doing live readings on the channel this evening. So if you guys can see me, say hello in the chat, give me a thumbs up, and make sure you click that bell button below. Make sure you're subscribed. I'm excited to be back. We're gonna be talking all about your guys' questions as we do live tarot readings by donation. If this is your first time here, it's nice to meet you. I am Candace. I'm a Western astrologer and also a tarot reader. And we're here every Friday hanging out, doing live readings on the channel. Make sure you click the button so that way you're alerted as to when I have new videos. I'm here every Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday. To get a reading, excuse me, you're going to want to scan the QR code right up here. This is going to take you to my PayPal where you can make a donation. We're doing 1-card readings for $20, 3-card readings for $40, or you guys can join my memberships and you can be a part of level 3 where you support me as a full-time content creator. You guys also get a shout out from me at the beginning of the month, and you're going to get a reading once a month and you don't have to wait. So those long lines and the queues and stuff that we have during the new and the full moon readings, you guys don't have to wait for that. So if you want to support me as a content creator, consider joining level 3 today. So who do we have here? I saw Kurt's here. We've also got AJ, Jovi, Kit Kat, Mistel. What's going on, guys? What's up, Victoria? She says, I support. Happy Friday. How's everybody doing? Well, I'm excited to get into this week's questions. Is there any level 3 people here? I see Victoria's here. Sonia's here. Welcome, Sonia. She just joined level 3. Let me know if you guys are a level 3 member and you guys have a question that you want to ask. Go ahead and ask me the question in the chat. We're going to take the readings in the order that they were received. So while I'm waiting for the level 3 people to kind of shuffle in and give me those questions, I want to say thank you also to all of the new members, all the new subscribers. If you guys haven't seen, we are so close to 40,000 subscribers. So share the videos, click subscribe, and hopefully we can grow the channel. Any interaction helps. For everybody else that we have here, so if you hear your name, okay, so I'm gonna do a roll call of everybody I have that has made a donation for a reading. If you hear your name, that means that I got your donation, and I will call your name out when your reading is coming up. Because sometimes we have like 15, 20 readings. So if you hear your name, I have your donation, don't worry. So other than the level 3 people, we've got Tanya, Ayana, is it Jovi Donna? Am I saying your name correctly? Raquel, Sasha, Matt, Vanessa, Monica, and Francesca. So that's who I have so far. We'll leave the queue open. So if you are seeing the readings and you're like, hey, I want to get one too, scan the QR code, you'll get into the queue at some point throughout the readings this evening. Usually when we hit a certain number, we'll close the queue down. So we'll definitely let you know when it's last call and when we're going to be, kind of taking the last donations. If you're looking for astrology, I'm going to be here next week. So next Friday, we've got that big action-packed full moon in Taurus, conjunct Uranus. So it's going to be a big one. So if you guys are waiting to cash in on that for one of the lunations, we're going to be having that obviously next week. Okay. David's here. What's up, David? What's up, Sandy? All right, we've got some new people here. Okay, so Sonia's got her question. She says she'll wait to the end of the month. Awesome. And then Victoria is here. Okay. So if you heard your name, I've got your reading. We'll take Victoria. And then if there's no other level 3 people, Tanya and Ayana, you guys are on deck. Okay. So what's up, Victoria? She says, question, what is causing book publishing delay? The book has been paused many times the last 2 years. Frustrating, and it's at the forming stage. It's at the formatting stage. The format lady has delayed. What is the delay and why? Well, one thing I'll tell you is, you know, Mercury retrograde's coming up. It's going to be in the sign of Sagittarius. Sagittarius is about publishing. So I could definitely see this being like a period where you're going to maybe be able to kind of backtrack, go back to the project, figure out the problem, come up with a solution. But let's see what the cards have to say for you. I can't give this book a Mercury retrograde birthday. No, but you could use the Mercury retrograde to kind of suss it out. Being a Virgo rising, Venus is your 9th house ruler. Okay, so this full moon that's coming up is actually really helpful for gaining some clarity in regards to, you know, publishing and kind of making some headway. So here are the cards that you get in the order that I pulled them. All right, so we're going to be obviously reading from right to left. So when I look at the cards, you know, first things first is like the Ace of Pentacles is saying that you're not going to give this up. Like you have something tangible, it's legit, it's good, you're fine. Like there is something here that's worth holding on to. You've put a lot of energy, you've put a lot of time into it. Is it possible that it's saying that it can take until like the winter months for this to kind of get cleared out? Yes, it can. Capricorn, Taurus, Virgo, these are all the earth signs. So it can be saying that, hey, right around the end of the year, the turn of the year, or when we've got planets going through an earth sign, that's when you can see a change. Also, like as a Virgo rising, like Uranus is about to leave Taurus briefly, but it'll leave Taurus, and that can also give you a breakthrough in the spring, kind of going into the summer next year. Three of Coins is talking about working as a team. Okay, so like Ace of Coins, Three of Coins is like you may have an offer or an opportunity to work with someone new. It might also mean that you're like, hey, you know, what do I need to pay for? What do I need to do to be able to incentivize or kind of push this project along and hopefully kind of get, you know, some kind of progress so that way you can like sell it and start making some money. She said, this is the Spanish version of my handbook. I can't give this book a Mercury retrograde birthday. Okay. So then the Three of Coins is saying like, okay, maybe you're looking at like a 1 to 3 month period. It can also mean that, you know, you're putting a little bit more financial effort into the situation or creating some incentive, or maybe you're considering or contemplating like working with someone new. Three of Coins is generally about like more than one person helping you with an issue, right? Or like working with a team or sitting down with people and being like, can we problem solve? Like, what's the issue? Is this solvable? You know, can we work through this or not? I do think it's worth having this, like mindset, like going into it kind of basically being like, let's try to work on it. Let's see if we can come up with a solution. If we can't come with a solution, then I'm going to be seeking support or help elsewhere. Eight of Cups is about walking away from something. And I don't necessarily think it's the project. I think it's going to be more the people that you may potentially be working with. So I don't know how that works with like a publisher. If you have like a publisher that you're kind of staying with and that you're either, you know, contracted with, or maybe you guys have already decided that they're going to be the one who's going to publish it. But I do feel like it's coming to a turning point where, you know, you're willing to give it probably 1 to like another like 3 months or so to see if you can work through the blockage before you decide whether or not you should go and look for support or help, or the possibility of like literally working with another person. It's also possible that, you know, upon reaching out to them and talking to them about coming up with a solution, that they'll say, okay, well, you know, we want to connect you with somebody else, or we want to kind of put you in touch with somebody else to get this moving, because who you've been working with, it's not working. So we're going to move this to another person. We're going to move this to another department. She says, maybe a new person in the next 3 months. Yeah, it may not come till January, a Capricorn book. Interesting. Maybe I need to find a sponsor, like Spanish attorney. I'm a free agent and self-publish. I do feel like I would try working with another person first. Okay, so if it's like another person within the company, fine. You know, Three of Coins can basically be saying like, look, I want to sell this. You guys want to make money. We want to get this out there, but you know, we're kind of hitting a roadblock. So in order to kind of get the ball rolling, yeah, you know, match me up with somebody else. Let me kind of connect with somebody different, somebody who's going to kind of at least give me some clarity and not make me feel like I'm doing this on my own. The bottom card is going to be the clarification card. The card that you get is the 9 of Wands. So this does mean that it's about overcoming a situation where you're feeling challenged and like doing it all by yourself, or you're kind of feeling like you're on your own. But I do feel like this is a card that genuinely comes up when it's like right at the tail end of completing a project, when you're like, okay, I just don't know how much more energy I can kind of put into this, and then you kind of have a breakthrough. I do think with the Ace of Coins coming up that talking to somebody who may consider sponsoring you or sponsoring the book or being involved with the process of like helping pay for something, definitely can be an option. Like, you know, somehow it can turn into 3 different people. So it could be you could have the publisher, you could also have another person who's coming in that's saying like, hey, can we help this process along? Or we want to pay to be able to kind of complete it or finish it, or somebody who's investing in it. And it'll actually help you kind of walk away from being in a situation where you've been blocked. But I think that, you know, with the Mercury retrograde, if anybody's been thinking about being like, I want to go back and finish writing a book, I want to edit a book, I want to go back to school, I want to, you know, reevaluate something that I need to study, reconnect with like a teacher, any of these things, that's very Mercury retrograde in Sag. So I know it's frustrating, obviously, because you have like a lot of mutable stuff going on in your chart right now between like your ascendant, your 7th house, and then you're gonna have a Mercury retrograde in your 4th opposed to the 10th. This is about coming to like a completion or an end with a situation and like deciding whether or not something that you've been working on can actually proceed forward to be able to kind of expand in your career. So I could see this as a time where you're like, okay, if this is really meant to get out, then I need to make a decision now about whether or not I want to either keep working with the person I'm working for or with this company before I venture out there and see what else there is. Money and sponsorship can definitely create a lot of forward motion though, because the Ace of Pentacles almost is kind of like incentivizing or influencing just how much you're able to actually get done. So I hope that that's helpful. And I'm pretty confident you're going to be able to do that. It's just, it does look like you're going to have to change who you're actually working with. Like that's almost a guarantee with that 8 of Cups coming up. Okay. Hopefully that is helpful. Give me a heads up when you end up launching that bad boy. I know that you have been really busy kind of grinding all that stuff out. How do I get into the queue? I sent a payment. Cosmic D, send me your real name so I know who you are. And the question always goes with the memo. So when you guys scan the QR code and you make a donation in the memo box, put your question. Otherwise, you're going to hear me call your name and I'm going to be like, what is your question? And then you'll end up putting it in the chat box anyway. What's up, Monica? What's up, Diego? Diego says, I like to use my monthly, if possible, general reading and any upcoming predictions. All right, let's do it. Let me put you guys on my list. Are there any other level 3 people? Otherwise, Tanya and Ayana and Jovi, you guys are all on deck. All right, this is for Diego, who wants to have a general reading. So we've got the Justice card, the Strength card, and the 4 of Coins. You know, I kind of see this as like a situation where, to me, it seems like there is some back and forth that you're kind of doing, some reevaluation that you're doing. You know, 4 of Coins talks a lot about what you're holding on to, what you're valuing. It can be about taking stock in physical material goods. It can be about reevaluating a financial situation. It can be about managing or taking care of health. If you look at the 4 of Coins, like, his arms are crossed, his feet are sitting on the pentacles, he's kind of clutching onto the other pentacles, and it can represent where we're either really focused on maintaining and holding on to something, or like maintaining our goals, or like saving money, or things revolving around just being stable. But when this card comes up, I'm always quick to remind my clients that's like, look, you know, when you think of money, just as an example with pentacles, when you think of money, it's like it's an energy. If you're holding on to it too tightly and you're kind of like a tightwad about stuff and you're not willing to spend money or let stuff go, it's stopping the flow of that being able to come in. And equally, if you're just kind of out with it, there is no sense of being able to have stability and like being able to save or hold on to things or like have some kind of like, security, I guess I would say from, you know, your finances, because it's all going out the window. So whenever the 4 of Coins comes up, I'm always quick to talk to my clients about kind of finding the middle ground in a situation, right? And like not going too easy or like not holding on to something too tightly. Now, what's interesting is like, it's not a bad card. Like the minor cards, these are cards that are like changing circumstances. So it's something that is going to be kind of flexible and fluid. The cards that you have coming up are then the Strength card and the Justice card. And both of these are cards that deal with the major arcana. So these cards talk about major changing situations right now, things that are influencing your life that have very specific symbolism. So in terms of, past, present, future, okay, what you're holding on to, maybe things revolving around the past, deciding whether or not you want to give something up, deciding whether or not you're ready to let go of something you've been carrying around emotionally or physically. The Strength card is talking about having the strength, having the emotional strength, having the spiritual strength to realize and recognize like what you're outgrowing, right? Notice both of these cards are about holding on to things. Interesting. You see the woman or the maiden, embracing the lion. She's kind of holding the lion and recognizing and realizing that it's a wild thing. It may be something that you can't actually put in a headlock or put in a collar or put in a cage. Like you can embrace it, but it has to have the ability to go free. And with the Four of Coins, it's also holding on to something, having physical control. So to me, it looks like you're kind of going through this process right now where you're learning to embrace the things you can't control. You're learning to let go of blockages and things that you've been holding on to, or maybe preconceived notions about your financial situation or your worth, right? Or, your purpose. And you're like, I just can't hold on to that anymore. I can't believe that anymore. If I have been in a situation where I've been holding myself back, from abundance, holding myself back from love or relationships, you're approaching things in a way where you're being a little bit more, I think, softer and kinder to yourself. The Strength card talks a lot about like accepting situations for what it is and not trying to force things. This is also a card that deals specifically with the energy of Leo. Okay, so Leo transits, Mars is in Leo right now. This is also a card that deals very specifically with the timing of Leo. So it can be saying that this is something that, you've been working on since July, August, right? And the Strength card is also about like being able to overcome situations. So where you maybe have felt blocked or defeated in the past, the Strength card is like, I'm not going to approach situations like that just assuming that I'm going to be blocked or that things are not going to go well. I'm learning to actually believe in myself and have a sense of confidence and have a sense of pride, and that there's some growth and development that's happening in that area for you. So then we have the Justice card. And this is a card that's about relationships, balance, karma, laws, cause and effect. This talks about kind of weighing the pros and the cons. And what's interesting is there's a lot of freedom that comes up with this card versus the other two, which is kind of like confinement. Okay, still holding on, but accepting. And then it's just like whatever is going to be is going to be. Seems to kind of symbolize that there is this process of coming to terms with things and like acknowledging what is best for you, or what is best for a relationship, or what is best for you financially, and like learning to approach situations with more balance and a little bit more grace. Strength card can be about romance, right? And it can be about meeting somebody and having a connection with someone, or it can be about being in a relationship and like kind of growing, because strength to me seems like it's very much about like the connection, and it can be about the physical, stuff and the intimacy. But justice is like, okay, when you take that all away, what's really kind of going on at the core of the relationship? Is there a healthy relationship? Is there balance? Is there support? Is there mutual kind of respect? So it can be saying there's some karmic stuff that's opening up for you in regards to relationships right now. It can also be saying that, the Justice card is coming up because it's trying to kind of get you in balance and trying to kind of find the middle ground. And once again, the holding on too tight or, not holding on enough seems to kind of be recalibrating. So I would be looking at, if you know your astrology, I would be looking at where Mars in Leo is in your chart, because to me, this seems really important. And that's where you're kind of spending a little bit more time and taking stock. I would also go and look at the Libra part of your chart. That's where you've been having eclipses. That's where also the South Node is right now. So there is this sense of, with the South Node in Libra, emotional clearing, karmic clearing, relationship clearing. And I think all roads are kind of leading to whatever work you've been doing, pretty much July through about October. There is a clearing going on, and this is going to give you more confidence. This is going to make you a much better partner, or much more capable of being able to get into partnership. And also, I think this is going to be really kind of paving the way for you to feel stronger in your relationship to yourself, whether this is like financially or just personally, because the cards really kind of paint a picture that's like you're kind of opening up. It's almost like a shell. You know, it's going from having like a death grip to just kind of like opening. And then there's like this sense of like being more receptive to situations and letting things kind of flow. And maybe that's accepting situations for what they are, and that certain things are kind of ending and you're like, okay, it is what it is. And this is the way that's supposed to be. And the right people are kind of coming into my life and going out of my life. But there's a balance effect that's going to happen with this. And I think that, you know, the Justice's card is basically saying everything is happening right now for a reason. And the relationships, the people, the connections, the things that are changing are all coming in because it's supposed to be people who are coming in to support the person that you're becoming, not where you've been or who you've been in the past, right? So I hope that that's helpful for you. Diego, thanks for being a member. What's up, Deanna? How's it going? Okay, so we've got Cosmic D. That's who that is. Gotcha. All right. So let me do a little bit of an update. If you guys are just jumping in here, we still have the queue open if you'd like to get a reading. If you hear your name, that means that I have you. Tanya, Ayana, Jovi, Raquel, Sasha, Matt, Vanessa, Monica, Francesca, Amber, and Vade. Am I saying that right? Vade? Oh, sorry. Is it Cece or Ceci? Cece? You're welcome. Francesca. Gotcha. All right, so we're gonna take Tanya and then Ayana. So let's see what Tanya has to say. What's up, Tanya? Tanya says, Pisces Sun, Virgo Rising, Taurus Moon. I have been feeling so lost and confused about who I am and what I want out of life. I worked so hard so long to get my PhD in biochemistry, but now left without a clear goal. I am every day feeling less inspired and feel stuck with this energy. What can help me get through this time? Any advice? And thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks for watching. Well, I think about being a Virgo rising and the kind of expansion and contraction that's going on in your life right now, especially if, you know, you have a sun in Pisces, right? So like Saturn is going through your sun, which is traditionally a transit that's more about career building or goal building. And it's in your 7th house. So it's kind of like also like, where am I going with relationship to other people? And like, who's supporting me? And the sun rules your 12th house. So there can be like this feeling of feeling kind of disconnected and like not sure of like what your purpose is. And while Saturn is going through your 7th house, which is challenging your, you know, your relationships to others, to men, to your identity, the sun, it's in a square with Jupiter, which is in your 10th house of career. So there's this sense of like, where am I going with my career? I don't know, you know, and Saturn and Jupiter are squaring. It's not really all about relationships, but to be honest with you, like the Saturn square Jupiter is trying to get you to think about a life that is more so defined beyond just what you're doing for a living. It's trying to get you to think about putting some roots down or having some sense of real heart connection or commitment to another person, right? Saturn in the 7th house. Could this be personal relationships? Sure, yeah, it could. Could it be, you know, research partners, work collaborators, business partners, that kind of stuff? Yeah, it could be that too. But, you know, it depends on if you're in a relationship or not. But just reading the cards, there is some similarities here. Page of Wands, the Death card, and the King of Cups. Like it is saying that there is a sense right now of feeling like you're kind of aimlessly wandering, right? You're like, where am I going? What am I doing? Page of Wands is this initial energy that's about kind of feeling inspired again. So it's interesting that you're just kind of like, well, I'm feeling stuck. I'm not feeling inspired. Like this energy is kind of like weird. Page of Wands can be a fire sign. So it can be an Aries, a Leo, a Sagittarius, somebody that can come into your life that can just totally like turn things upside down. But it could also represent you almost taking like a bit of a hiatus from being super hyper focused on things that are going to be more logical and productive, right? I think of like coins as being logical and productive. I think of swords as being information driven and about learning and communication. Wands are like, I want to travel, you know, they're like, I want to explore, I want to have fun, I want to play, I want to create. And it's bringing in a different energy for you. And, you know, as a Virgo rising, Mars is going to retrograde in your 12th house for quite some time. It's going to be several months that Mars will be in your 12th house. And that could be like a transit where, you know, you are traveling, you're doing some like behind the scenes work. Maybe you're doing some spiritual work. Maybe you're getting into dancing, creating, something like that behind the scenes, right? And so I would use that transit, especially with this card coming up, to do some of those things. That's going to kind of like wake the spirit up a little bit, right? Even if it's just for hobbies or things that you're kind of doing like, you know, part-time, I would do more of that. The Death card coming up with the King of Cups. Before I even pulled these cards, I was like, what she doesn't realize is that there seems to be some kind of emphasis on, it's not just Jupiter in the 10th, how I'm working. It's who is like actually assisting and aiding you in life, who's standing, you know, with you. 7th house could be, like I said, a creative collaboration. It could be a work relationship where you're doing research together, a romantic partnership, a committed relationship, right? It could be about working with a therapist, working with an astrologer, somebody who is going to kind of give you support. But I thought that I was like, it's also about finding somebody who kind of comes in and counterbalances your life a little bit and has you focus on things that are going to be more about entertainment, joy, pleasure, creativity, like romance, to give you a little bit of a break from focusing purely just on your career, right? So, you know, Death card coming up with King of Cups. It's basically saying like, this is going to be about a complete emotional rebirth. It can mean that there's somebody who comes into your life that radically changes things for you. And it could be a water sign. So it could be like a Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces. The Death card is generally Scorpio, so I would keep an eye out for Scorpios. It can also mean that, you know, you're going through this period where you're going through significant personal change and like rebirth. And it's scary and it's uncomfortable. And there's a sense of having to almost like face the potential of starting over or the unknown. Intuitively, I feel like just knowing some of your placements, you know, having a Taurus moon in your 9th house, you have the opportunity, should you decide, to really focus on working in connection with collaboration and other people and teaching or higher studies, you know, research, you know, working on a university level. There's a lot of things that you could do with that moon in Taurus. I also know that, you know, Pluto's going into Aquarius, so it's going to totally change up something about your work and your daily routine in your 6th house. 2025, Uranus is going to go into your 10th house. You're going to have some kind of dramatic opportunity for a career change or working in a new environment or taking on a second job. And it might be something revolving around information, data, knowledge, you know, writing, something like that, very kind of like mercurial. But right now the cards are kind of like, hold on a second, let's kind of record scratch here. You know, there almost seems to be that there's going to be somebody who's going to come into your life that's going to be some kind of personal relationship that's going to jumpstart things and like make you realize that it's not just purely about what's going on with work. I don't think you wasted your time getting a PhD. I think that that's an amazing accomplishment, especially having your moon in the 9th house. It looks like that was one of your goals, was, you know, some higher education, but you may be applying it in a different way. So think about, you know, go and look at your chart, go and look at the ruler of your 10th house. You got to go and look at what house Jupiter, what house Mercury is in, the aspects it's making, the signs that it's in. Because when you see a significant Mercury transit, that's when there's going to be some kind of change going on with your career. And also Jupiter hanging out in your 10th house all year, it's going to bring you something, you know, right? The next month or so, it's going to feel kind of heavy because Jupiter and Saturn are squared, but I think with these two cards is it wants you to kind of have a connection with somebody where there's going to be almost like this real, deep, passionate, emotional connection, almost like a reset that you're going to have that's going to make you realize, like, I've been super focused on the stuff that I'm doing over here, and like somebody can come into my life and just like make me feel inspired or radically kind of shake me up or make some changes revolving around the way that I look at how I'm living my life, and it can be very positive for you. Okay, so keep an eye out for that. Hopefully that's helpful for you, Tanya. All right, so we have Ayana. Thanks, Sasha. I will add that to the queue. All right, so Ayana says, 3-card read. Oh, sorry, please call me Naya. Am I saying that right? Naya? Let's take a look. She says, will my ex come back,
or has he moved on? So this is for Naya. Will her ex come back, or has he moved on? All right, in this order. Seven of Wands, the Lover's card, the Sun. I don't know why, but like looking at the spread, I kind of like think about, I don't know what line this movie was from. I think it was from Brokeback Mountain, where he's like, I just can't quit you. That's kind of like the vibe that I'm getting looking at these cards. Because I feel like, obviously we've got two majors here, and you know, these are cards that are really talking about like shining a light on a situation and bringing up this like, this awareness that's like, okay, there is a really strong connection here. Like there's a lot of emotional connection here. There's a lot of love. There's a lot of joy. Clearly there's like a really deep connection that's really hard to break, but there's also like this feeling of being like pulled in two different ways, or that the relationship can go in two different directions, or that, you know, there's definitely some pros and cons to this, and like trying to overcome some of the challenges, or maybe the indecisiveness, or, you know, maybe some of like the intense, like passionate side of the relationship, where things can become like very heated and kind of complicated and complex. Anyway, so with this, the Seven of Wands coming up, it does make me feel like this is saying that in terms of the situation right now, it almost looks like you've been fighting off feelings, right? Or you've been really trying to kind of stand your ground and kind of keep your head above water. And there has been this kind of feeling of like, okay, you know, I don't want to, you know, sit around and wait for this person, or, you know, I don't want to feel desperate, or I don't want to reach out to them, or I'm just trying to move on, you know, and like kind of struggling with that process, and feeling like it's very difficult, you know, to really kind of get over whatever has happened between the two of you. This is a card that's also about being on top. I call this like my King of the Hill card. So when this card comes up, it's like nobody's going to kind of knock you off. You're going to be fine. You may have the upper hand in this situation. You may not realize that, you know, you may have somebody who's kind of sitting around wondering, you know, if they're going to hear from you too, or if there's going to be a reconnection with you too. But you may be putting on like a good front, and almost acting like out of sight, out of mind. Like, I don't care. I'm not going back to that person, or I'm avoiding it. And they may not be aware of how you truly feel, or that you are like really kind of questioning whether or not there's a future, and if you're really hurt or vulnerable in regards to the situation. So the Lover's card in the current position is saying like there are decisions, there are choices to be made. Now, sometimes this card comes up where it's like, look, choices can be about choosing you or choosing another person. It can also mean about whether or not you're going to give in to the temptation, especially physically. I feel like the Lover's card is a very physical card. Giving into the temptation of being like, oh, I'm going to go back, you know, because it's comfortable, it's convenient, or, you know, maybe, you know, it's familiar, and then you go back and then you're like, but is this actually right for me? Like, is this good for me? And what are all of like the kind of trappings or the challenges, or like the drama that kind of comes with this relationship? And, you know, with the Lover's card, when it's good, it's good. When it's bad, it's not good. It's like really challenging, because there can definitely be feelings of questioning whether or not somebody's going to meet you halfway, and all of like the difficult things that kind of come up about relationships. And like sometimes some readers will connect this card to like a twin flame. Not my favorite example, not a twin flame reader, cannot endorse that stuff, but I can see why they talk about that with the Lover's card, because they talk about it being, you know, kind of two parts of the same soul, right? So it's two parts of the same soul. So it can mean that you've brought somebody in who's a reflection of you. You guys are soulmates to some extent, but you could also be very similar, and that you guys are coming together because there's lessons for you guys to work through to learn how to better relate and be in relationship. All in all, the Lover's card for me is one of my reunion cards, believe it or not. It's just kind of like, well, there is a possibility, if you're willing to give into the temptation, if somebody's willing to break, that you guys can connect. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. Like if I saw cards surrounding this, like the Devil or Ace of Swords or Eight of Cups, I would be like, look, there's a reconnection, and then you're going to kind of move on. But the card that's coming up is the final card. You know, it is basically coming up saying like, you've got the Sun card. Happiness and joy, overcoming a challenge, your time in the sun, love, happiness, joy, clarity, right? That's a big theme with the Sun, because everything is kind of visible. So it might kind of feel like maybe you've been fighting off these feelings and you're not sure of how to handle it or how to deal with it. You may be feeling like, you know, you're trying to take a step back, but maybe this is a matter of you kind of sitting with it and reevaluating and being like, is it worth talking to this person and telling them how I feel? And like, are you in this situation where you would think that by now you would have been over it, or that, you know, you weren't in love with this person anymore, or, you know, you would have moved on, and maybe you're realizing you're not. And it may be inspiring you to kind of reach out and extend an olive branch and kind of be like, you know, it's making me realize like I really have feelings for you, and this is, you know, how I've been feeling, and like at least gaining some clarity on the situation. You don't have anything to lose in this situation. And generally these cards are pretty good for seeing an opportunity for you guys to be able to kind of reunite. And that it can be a situation where it's like you're leveling with somebody and they're like, oh, I feel the same way, you know, and there's like this mirrored effect that's going on between you and this other person because of the Lovers card. So there's definitely still something there, and there is room for reconnection, but it's also going to be about overcoming, right? 7 of Wands. Any issues you guys have revolving around your egos as to why you guys went your separate ways in the first place. Anyway, I hope that that's helpful for you. All right, so we've got Jovi, Raquel, and Sasha. Those are good cards. All right, so it looks like Jovi decided to get a couple extra cards. Jovi says, will I meet someone new soon? I just want to make sure that you were asking the same question for that you're just adding on to that. Gotcha. Okay. All right. So will Jovi meet someone new soon? Let's take a look. All right. So in this order, we've got 2 of Cups, 9 of Swords, and the Fool card. All right. So, you know, one thing that I'm just kind of curious about is what's going on. Are you like afraid that you're not going to meet someone? Like, these are 2 pretty positive cards that are coming up that are sandwiched in between the 9 of Swords, which is the right now card. So one of the relationship cards for me, or union, meeting somebody, getting into a relationship, going on dates, would definitely be the 2 of Cups. So that card is coming up, right? And I got to tell you, like, it's almost like there are opportunities that are surrounding you, but you are not in tune with that energy. Does that make sense to you? Like, I don't know if you're afraid of being alone. I don't know if you're afraid that you're never going to find somebody again, or if you're having a hard time getting over somebody from the past. Maybe there is this sense of like having stress and anxiety and pressure and being like, if I don't do something, I'm going to wind up alone. You know, like that's kind of the feeling that I'm getting. And I kind of feel inclined to tell you that you have to change your thought process, right? It's almost like you're a shop that is going to be opening for business, and all you have to do is turn the light on. And when you turn the light on, customers are going to appear and they're going to walk through the door. When you have the lights off, okay, and the door is locked and you're like, oh my God, I'm never going to have any customers. Nobody knows that you're open for business. The door's locked. Nobody can get in. They assume that you are shuttered and closed, right? It's the same thing that's kind of going on here right now. It's like night and day. So 2 of Cups is saying open to relationships, connecting with people, wanting to meet people, or maybe it's talking about where you've been in the past, that you've been in a relationship and now you're having some stress or anxiety about getting back on this, you know, into the game or back in the saddle. And you're like, I just don't know how I'm going to be able to do it. What's going to happen? And you can almost get so wound up worrying about meeting somebody, or if you're going to meet somebody, or how it's going to happen, or if things are going to happen for you, that you're delaying the opportunity for the universe to intervene because you're sending out these, like, you know, psychic distress signals. So no more psychic distress signals. I would really like you to like actually have like a routine or something that you're doing at night, because this talks about late at night when you're in bed, or before you're going to bed, you know, the routine that you have and like how you're clearing your mind before you go to sleep. Otherwise, you keep yourself up, there's stress, there's anxiety, lack of sleep, and you're worrying about things that quite honestly, you feel like you have no control over. So the whole goal here is to be able to make you realize you do have control. Swords can be about managing stress and anxiety. So it can be about some stretching, some yoga, some incense, some aromatherapy, something that you're doing. And then also you want to take time to kind of clear your mind, take a couple deep breaths, do some breathing exercises. And I want you to embody the energy of the Fool, okay? Which is like hopelessly and gloriously optimistic, which to me seems a little different than your mindset right now. So it might be a little hard to kind of get you on board with this, but just stay with me. I kind of feel like this is you going, everything is always working out for me. You know, people are constantly approaching me and are interested in getting to know me. Relationships are showing up for me. Doors are opening, right? I fall into relationships very easily. I attract people who are good for me. I have no problem finding a quality partner. People are attracted to me. They're interested in me. You know, it's a matter of like approaching it like the Fool, which is everything's going to work out. Everything's going to be great, even though you haven't seen proof of that yet, even though maybe that's not your typical kind of go-to mentality. The Fool card can also be saying that you're taking a chance. It can mean that you're going out of your way maybe to kind of meet people, or you're feeling a little bit more confident, or maybe a little bit more outspoken and more willing to go places and do things that you typically would not do, especially on your own, or getting out of your comfort zone. And that could actually be a complete shift in the way that you know, your energy is working, and, you know, kind of like I said, turning that light on and letting people know you're open for business. The Fool card for me is also a card that deals with kind of like either like Uranian transits. So we've got like a full moon conjunct Uranus coming up. It can also be very much associated with like the beginning of the year, right? So it's kind of like, okay, fresh start, you know, or new moons. But I do feel like you're going to meet somebody. I also feel like you're going to maybe meet somebody in a very serendipitous way, like a way that you did not expect. And it's kind of funny because, like, to me, this is kind of like a meet cute situation, like in a movie, like a weird way that you meet somebody. And you've got these two people that kind of connect, and they have some kind of, you know, similar attraction, mutual attraction, something like in common that brings them together. And one person might just be like a hot ass mess and like not expecting to meet somebody, or not in a place of being ready to meet somebody, you know, or whatever. And then somebody who's just like a complete clown show, and like they're super funny and like very personable, and just a really weird serendipitous way of like meeting somebody right when you least expected it, or right when you needed someone the most. So, you know, part of me feels inclined to tell you, like, get it together, baby, because, you know, the Fool card coming up can be this person that comes into your life that's just like, why are you crying? Like, what's going on? Like, why are you so down? And you're just kind of like stunned that you have met or connected with somebody that you didn't see coming. And also they may be very different, or unusual, or kind of out of the box, or not your kind of typical or stereotypical kind of type that you would generally date. And it can be somebody who's very kind of happy-go-lucky, they're easy, somebody who's fun, they're kind of, you know, eclectic and different and unusual, and gets you out of like your comfort zone, right? So I definitely see somebody coming. I would keep an eye out, especially around the beginning of the year. And like I said, really focus on turning your light on, okay? Because it's really just a matter of your mind shift right now before everything else could potentially follow. Hopefully that's helpful for you. All right, so we have got Jovi and then Raquel. What's up, Enchanted? All right, so let's see what Jovi says. Oh, that was Jovi, sorry. There we go. Will I meet someone new? So that was for you. What's up, Swats? And we will leave the queue open for 5 more minutes. That's exactly it. Thanks, Raquel. I just left my question. What's up, Rosie? I will add you to my list. I won't forget you, don't worry. Let's see. All right, so who do we have next here? All right, so Raquel says, I can't afford to leave my job right now. I'm going through bullying and harassment from coworkers and one male manager. Why have I become a target? Any consequences or karma for them? Oof. All right, let's take a look. So what do we need to know about this situation for Raquel in regards to work, the bullying, and all of this stuff? Is there going to be consequences? What does she need to know? Been a lot of majors tonight, huh? All right, 7 of coins, the moon card, and the chariot card. Raquel, what's your rising sign? What is your rising sign? So I've got Sasha, Matt, Vanessa, Monica, Francesca. We've got Cece, Amber, Jessica, Lightworker, Enterprise, Nancy. We've got Kelly and Swati. So 5 more minutes and we're closing it down. Gemini rising, Scorpio moon. Okay, so a couple things that come to mind. First of all, for whatever reason, whatever is going on, a lot of this stuff is gonna, I think, get cleared out around the full moon in Cancer. Okay, so this is the timing that's coming up in the cards. That's gonna be around January 13th, I think. So just make a note of that. Obviously, if you're a Gemini rising, that's going to be happening in your second house, which is going to be revolving around money. Okay, so money stuff, working, income, changing in regards to jobs. To be honest with you, you know, I get the impression that it's almost as if like you're being pressured right now, and they're waiting to see like what you're going to do. Like they're waiting to see if you're going to leave. 7 of coins is like you assessing the situation, being like, I need to work, I'm making a living, you know, I'm going to keep to myself, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. Like, I do not, you know, want to have to make a move right now, and being very cautious about the actions that you're taking. It can mean that you're also taking stock in the situation and being like, realistically, how long can I keep working in this environment or keep working like this? And like trying to assess and decide whether or not there's another option for you. You have to understand something. You're a Gemini rising, okay? So if you're a Gemini rising, you've got Saturn riding your ass in the 10th house right now, which means bosses, superiors, challenges with people at work. You know, Saturn rules your 8th house, which can be dealing with like trust issues and things revolving around some shadiness at work. And you had an eclipse there. So my thought process is mid-January, but especially in March of next year, that's when there's really going to be some changes. The cards are saying the moon and the chariot, which is talking about the full moon that's going to be in Cancer in the second house, could be a major turning point. The moon is generally what we don't see coming. This can be about our emotions or intuition. It can also be about what we're afraid of or what's kind of going on behind our backs when we can't see what's happening. And the chariot is saying like there's going to be a change. Like I genuinely feel like you're going to have a job change. I'm just telling you this now. I think maybe you're kind of feeling like, man, if this continues, you know, I'm going to have to find something else. Or, you know, if this continues, am I going to, you know, are they going to get rid of me? The Scorpio 6th house can get paranoid real quick. So be very careful. My advice is that I really feel like you have an opportunity right now to start looking for something else, or start thinking about realistically if you can physically, mentally, or emotionally be somewhere where people are clearly going out of their way to make you feel uncomfortable. Okay, you can stay, but the moon card to me feels uncomfortable. The 7 of coins to me feels like, you know, you'll do it for a period of time, but then it'll get to a point where you're just like, I can't do this anymore. And then the moon is almost revealing the chariot, which is like this is going in a direction where it's not sustainable, or it's kind of feeling like it's going to get to the point where somebody's going to blow up at somebody. And if you do end up blowing up at somebody, then they are going to be like, well, now we have reason to, you know, like say we have issues with you and now we are going to try to get rid of you. And you don't want that happening, because this is talking about subconscious fears and like subconscious issues or things that are behind the scenes that are kind of going on that is perpetuating a lot of this intensity and a lot of this kind of like drama. I can't take any more of this. I have been having anxiety attacks. Literally, the moon card is about where you're at emotionally, and like the chariot is like, I can't handle the situation. And I don't recommend waiting until you have a full moon, you know, in the second house where you're like, okay, well, now I'm quitting, got to find a new job, or now they're getting rid of me and I got to find a new job. I also don't recommend waiting till the retrograde. I do think that the positive in this is that the moon card and the chariot card is like saying that if you can pay attention to what's going on with your emotions are quite literally telling you the direction that you need to go in. And Seven of Coins is about taking stock in your health, right? And like asking yourself, do you really feel like you're giving it your best or giving it your all, being in a place where like you're not gonna thrive, or it's not gonna be healthy for you, or people who are not committed to seeing you grow or helping you, you know, find success, you know, like you're not in an environment that's going to be conducive of that. So if that's the case, I think that I would be listening to my emotions and being like, this is not worth my health. Like I need to start looking for something else. The moon card and the chariot card sometimes comes up for clients I've seen who are like, I'm having such bad like PTSD and emotional stuff that's going on. You know, they go and they see a doctor, and the doctor's like, okay, you know, we're putting you on like leave because you're having such emotional or psychological issues that like we're, you know, giving you a break from work. Or people who, you know, decide that, you know, they're leaving because of some kind of emotional, psychological trauma. And it like takes that coming up for them to realize like, you know, I can't stay here because the cycle is like perpetuating. And some of the cards are saying it's gonna ramp up. As much as I don't want to say that to you, it's gonna continue. So it's your emotions trying to get your attention, trying to get you to realize that, you know, your gut is not wrong. There are some people who are shady. There are some people that are doing some things that I don't think are going to be helping you be successful in the long run. And I would listen to my emotions so you can start making the necessary change and like really look for those changes to be happening around early January. That full moon in the second house can be like a sudden make or break situation where you're like, well, you know what, financially it's not the best time, but I have to quit, I'm quitting my job. Or it could be a situation where you end up getting a job offer, right? And then suddenly you get this offer and you're like, I'm out. Because it will trine and make aspects to Saturn. So in that sense, I think it's actually pretty good for you in terms of your career. If you get looking now, you know, you may be able to make a change right come the beginning of the year. Okay. Hopefully that's helpful for you. Good luck. Good luck. Good luck. All right. So we have Sasha, Matt, and Vanessa. You're welcome. Go and do some like uncrossing work too. Maybe do like an uncrossing candle. They're like red and black. So you get rid of some of the juju. Like do like a salt bath, or like wear like an evil eye to work if you're getting some weirdness from people. All right, so Sasha says, my mind is very focused on both making money to move and my love life or lack of. Which one will come first? Let's take a look. Is it going to be shifts in regards to money and work, or is it going to be love life? Well, interesting card, Page of Swords. Thank you. I will update the list in just a second for who I have. If you just sent a question, you're going to be here for a little bit because there's about 10 people ahead of you. So first of all, Page of Swords is the card that jumped up. Okay, so the Page of Swords can be basically saying mindset, right? What you're focusing on, what you're thinking about, what you're talking about. Truth be told, the Page of Swords is not necessarily really a relationship card. If it is, this is going to be like an air sign. So it would be like a Libra, Gemini, or an Aquarius that might pop in. But I feel like this is kind of saying like you're getting your mind set on where you're going. Pages are new beginnings. So it can be representative of, okay, I'm putting my mind to communication, networking, you know, growing my business, connecting with people, being able to, you know, find new opportunities to kind of grow professionally, how I'm communicating with my clients, my employer, you know, getting the word out, like learning, growing, developing skills. To me, this seems more about these things than anything else. It can be about a change in your mindset, and how a change in your mindset or learning new ways of connecting or communicating can benefit you both professionally and financially, as well as your relationships. However, the confirmation card that you got for this was the Hermit card. So it's kind of saying that intuitively, like deep down, the Hermit is about reflecting and like knowing the answer, and knowing that maybe you're kind of on the path right now of like taking time for yourself, or maybe you're going to be focusing on, where you're going in the long term. I just saw your message. Let me put this here. And Knight of Swords. Interesting. Okay, so you've definitely got like the Air card that's coming up several times. So I feel like this is news that's coming up revolving around some new opportunity that's going to go down with your work. Okay, so whether you're employed or you're not employed, the Knight of Swords is generally a message that's like, hey, we may have a spot for you, or, hey, do you want to go to this like training, seminar, or hey, I heard that so-and-so is hiring, or we might have a position in this department. This is about you kind of peeking around and like asking some questions, connecting with people, networking, and also realizing that, things only change when you make the decision that they're going to change. Sometimes the Hermit card can be so internal and introspective and like afraid of getting outside of their comfort zone, or like engaging with people or trying new things, that can actually kind of stall you from being able to move forward. So it's interesting that you have the Page of Swords, which is like, well, I'm thinking about getting out there and trying to meet new people, or I'm thinking about trying like a new occupation or a new kind of career path. I'm not sure, I'm just kind of exploring it. And then the more that you sit with it, the Hermit card is like, I can stay here, this is comfortable, this is easy, but also like there's not going to be a lot of growth here. And like this awareness that's like, if you stay in this bubble and you don't go beyond that, then you're never really going to grow. And a lot of it is about getting outside of your comfort zone. And also, I think it's going to be about like not being afraid to kind of go your own way. Like the Hermit card literally is about being like, when you have to make decisions that are best for you, even if that means you have to leave a job, a relationship, a friendship, a town, and just being like, this is what's best for me. This is what I got to do. So that coming up with the Knight of Swords makes me feel like it's encouraging you to be more external. It's encouraging you to be more social, to be talking to people, engaging, reaching out, starting conversations, traveling. Like the more that you're focusing on your communication skills in general, the more that I think you're going to see your potential relationship, romantic life, and like also business related things like really blossom. And I think this is just about incorporating more opportunities for you to network, you get out and meet people. And maybe it's just like striking up conversation, sending introductory emails, having meetings with people, like that kind of stuff. So you're feeling more confident when it comes to approaching people. Obviously, 2 air signs are coming up. So Geminis, Libras, and Aquariuses, these are people that you're going to want to watch for. I do feel like the Hermit card can also be like a timing thing. So it can be talking about right when we're coming into like the eclipses in the spring. So March of 25, we're going to be having eclipses in Virgo. So you might want to look at what part of the chart that is for you. And it might be kind of indicating that's when these things are really starting to kind of come to fruition. Oddly enough, when we have that eclipse and it's ruled by Mercury, Mercury will be stationing. So yes, we're going to have an eclipse in Virgo, but there's something going on in the Aries part of our chart that's really impacting and kind of affecting us in a very big way. And Mercury is, kind of connected to the element of swords. So anyway, timing wise, that's when I would kind of watch for some of these things to become a little bit more visible. Okay. Keep your eyes out. Good luck. Let me update my list because readings are now closed. So those of you guys who got in will get a reading. Sorry guys, PayPal's getting sassy with me. Thanks for your patience. Let's see. All right, so we've got Amanda Galilea. Am I saying your name correctly? I think. Diana Swats, Kelly. Nancy, Jessica, Amber, Cece, Francesca, Monica, Vanessa. You guys are all on deck. All right, so we're going to talk to Matt, Vanessa, and then Monica. Super chat is acceptable, but readings have closed. But we did get Rosie. So Rosie, I got your reading. You're on my list. Okay, well, Matt says, hi, I won't be in the live tonight. Wanted to give my question. I was worried about what went well with my appointment, but the doctor said I might have a cyst blocking some kidney stones, and he wants me to get a CT scan on Tuesday. He said probably isn't anything major though. He just wanted to see the card. I just want to see what the cards have to say. If there's anything I need to be worried about, let's take a look. No worries, Rosie. All right, so this is going to be for Matt. What do we need to know in regards to this appointment? He's going to go see somebody. Is there something going on with his kidneys? Does he need to be worried? All right, in this order. All right, so we've got 4 of Swords, 7 of Swords, 4 of Wands. Well, first things first that kind of comes to my attention is just the amount of yellow that's coming through with all of the cards. You know, that's always for me life, vitality, insight, knowledge, information, and like getting a lot of information from, you know, the data, the testing, the appointment, what have you. So one thing you want to think about, because you have a moon in Libra, I don't remember the degree, forgive me, but South Node going through your moon, eclipses that are still impacting your moon, you know, Libra is connected with the kidneys, anything in regards to, you know, the urinary tract, the lower back. Okay, so with the South Node being there, people are going to be like, well, I think there could be something going on there, but that doesn't necessarily mean there aren't. 4 of Swords comes up where it's like, you're like, I just want to be able to rest. You know, I just want to be able to have peace and like not worry about health stuff. I don't want to worry about anything. I don't want to freak out about it. To me, it looks like you're handling things pretty well. You know, the 4 of Swords is like, it is what it is. I'm taking the information. I'm not going to stress out about it. Like, you know, I will figure it out when I go to the doctor. I am resting and recuperating in the meantime. Like, I'm not going to let this kind of like shake me up. So if that's how you're responding to this, that's good. And it's also about waiting until you have the information before you make a move. Then you have the 7 of Swords. And like, honestly, I'm not a doctor. I'm obviously, this evening, I'm a tarot reader. But I am going to tell you that when that card comes up for me, it can mean that there's a situation that's like, there is definitely reason to question or maybe ask more information or get some follow-up information. Or sometimes this can mean being like, well, you know, if you're really worried about it, you can see what the diagnosis is and you can take it and you can get a second opinion. Quite literally, the 7 of Swords means that there is something that is overlooked, or there is something that may not be trustworthy, or something that may not be legitimate or might be off. So it can mean that he's saying to you, well, you know, I think there might be something going on. Like, let's run all of these tests and all of these scans. And then they do the scans. And then he's like, yeah, I don't know, you know, maybe you should like, you know, consider, you know, doing this treatment or talking to this other doctor. And I would be like, okay, give me all of the information. I want to look through it. I want to have somebody else look at it and get their feedback before you just make an assumption. Because the 7 of Swords is not intentionally trickstery, but it can mean that there is some information that's not being fully given to you, or that you don't have the complete picture, or maybe somebody who is like blowing, you know, something out of proportion or making it seem like a bigger deal. I don't think he's a bad guy. I don't think it's intentional. I just got to put that out there. So there can be some reason to question or kind of doubt whether or not, you know, that's legitimate, what he's telling you. Interesting that it's a 7, and the 7 deals with Libra, and Libra deals with the kidneys. And I'm just kind of like looking at this being like, you know, maybe he saw some stuff that came up on a test. Maybe he was just kind of like, I don't trust this. You know, it seems a little off, so I want to run a scan just to make sure. It could be that he wants clarity because something seems like it's not adding up to him. And then you get to the 4 of Wands, which is like celebration, everything's fine, everything's stable, happy, you know, a temporary situation or a quick fix or something that he's like, well, I thought it was something, turns out it's nothing, you're good. Because the Four of Wands is generally reason to be positive and optimistic and hopeful, because whatever is going on has been overcome, or it's something that is easily overcome. You don't have any health cards that are coming up for me. If anything, this is just more about you're going to make yourself more sick being stressed out than anything that could potentially, you know, be shown to you. It also makes me feel like, you know, the Four of Wands is like saying, actually, you know what, I'm okay with the results. It's good. You know, it could have been something, but it's not. And so in that case, you know, we have nothing to worry about. And, you know, this is a temporary thing. I don't see it being something that's really concerning. And I would just say, you know, knowing your astrology, excuse me, you have transits that are coming into conjunction with personal planets, Pluto transits. So it's not unusual to be like, okay, you know, I'm working through something that could feel like a crisis, but it's not. Or there's something coming up that is stressing me out, but it's fine. And I can't remember I think it's your 6th house Lord, if I remember correctly. If Pluto's coming into conjunction with your 6th house Lord, frequency, energy, things that break stuff up, right? So I think like, well, what treatments would there potentially be? Let's say you do have some kind of blockage or something going on with kidney stones. You know, do they have a treatment where they can go in and they can kind of blast it with vibration, or they're blasting it with sound, or they're doing something so it's not invasive? So you're not having to take a bunch of medication. So you're not having surgery. So they're able to go in there and like literally zap it and kind of break it up. And that's literally the Mercury Pluto transit. If I remember correctly, that's what you got going on. Air, information, frequency, like that kind of stuff. But I don't see it being anything like super serious. I would be surprised if it's anything at all. And if it is, he'll be like, this is the quick fix, you know? So come back, leave me a message, let me know. Hopefully this is helpful. You definitely had a really good transit for going to the doctor that day. So like if there's anything that needed to be caught or needed to be seen, like you were going to have a very thorough like checkup. So if anything, this is like a result. This is like a result of that, you know? Anyway, I hope that that's helpful for you. We've got Vanessa and then Monica and Francesca. All right. So Vanessa. She says, hi, my sister finally got a court date for next week. Please guide us, insight on what might happen, anything to do, not do, say, what's her outcome looking like? Is there anything specific you can tell us? Please and thank you. Well, I am so glad to hear that. I've heard a lot of like crazy like legal things since Mercury went into Sagittarius. Like people are suddenly like, I've been waiting for 3 years to get my partner to sign their divorce papers or to finish this lawsuit, or I finally got a court case. So thanks, Mercury and Sag. So let's see, what do we need to know about her sister going into court? Do, don't do, what's it looking like? What do we need to know? All right, so we have got 8 of Swords, the 6 of Coins, and the Empress. What great cards. Well, first of all, the Empress is about mommy, right? So this is about like parental rights, being seen in a different light, being able to, you know, maybe feel like she can like be a mom again, like connecting with her kids, women being there to support her, mother figures being there to support her, and some readjustment that's taking place, right? The six of Coins. Interesting, because this literally has scales that are in the background. The 8 of Swords is about having been in a situation in the past where you have felt stuck, or you felt scared or blocked or hindered, or not like you're being heard. Having or losing faith in the future and feeling as if like you can't see your way through a situation. So perhaps, you know, going from the past to where this has been this like blockage where you haven't been able to see your way out of a situation, or you have felt stranded or alone, to 6 of Coins, which is like, okay, suddenly something is moving. And the 6 of Coins is about give and take. It is about the legal process. It is about the legal system. It is about, you know, getting what you kind of put into something, or getting what you pay for. This does talk about fairness, balance, and equality, and generally having like either a just judge or a situation where the situation is getting balanced out, or it feels more so fair. If you see the card here, you see like the man is got a scale in one hand and he's giving, food to, two people. So it can kind of indicate that a decision is being made about what she is being given, how much time she's being given, how much visitation she's being given, how much money somebody's supposed to be paying, what somebody is supposed to be kind of like turning into the other parent. Like there's going to be like an exchange here, and there's going to be an assessment as to what somebody's contributing and what they're actually getting. This is generally a card that's about positive outcomes, and that, what you kind of bring into the situation is generally what you're going to get out of it. So it's trying to get you to go into this situation being optimistic, being like, I'm finally going to get a shot. Not only that, but I'm possibly going to be able to kind of rebalance things and have a little bit more of a say in what's going on with the kids. And then, like I said, the Empress card is a card that is about, it's about growth. It's about abundance. This is about an opportunity to kind of feel like you can be a mom again, support that might be coming from your mom or other women in the family. This is also talking about being seen in a better light or a positive light. So going in, looking good, talking about all of the, the things that you've been doing in order to kind of still feel like you have been connected to your children, ways that you have been maintaining your home, your lifestyle, your finances, other things to prove that's like, look, I'm trying to make, time for my kids. I want to support my kids. I want to see my kids. These are things that I'm doing. Even though I haven't seen them, I'm still continuing to kind of live my life like they're coming back into my life. So for, the Empress, this is going into a situation and like looking your best. It doesn't mean that you have to go in there and spend a bunch of money on a new outfit, but the Empress is definitely a mom. So it's going in and like being beautiful. She's symbolic of Venus, but also being very conservative and well put together and like having, everything, that she needs. The Venus card, the Venus symbol comes up, she's dressed in a white dress with a pattern. So you can opt for that, or you can, wear a color that's associated with Venus. So it can be like a seafoam color or a peach or like a pink or a green. That's something else that you can wear, usually like pink or green. Or if you want to wear a white dress with a pattern, that's something that you can. But it's more about how you're carrying yourself. And a lot of this is about going into it being like, I'm still living my life and doing things as if, my kids are kind of coming back to me. Nothing has changed. I'm still going on, assuming that, they're going to be a part of my life, and I'm still continuing to make them a priority, even if I haven't been able to see them, right? And also maybe doing some work with Venus. This could be about doing some work with Venus. The Empress is Venus. So it can mean that you're, lighting a candle basically on a Friday. Maybe you're giving an offering to Venus. Maybe you're asking her to kind of help you and bless you throughout this process, making it easier for you potentially to be able to kind of connect with your family again, and also kind of win the support of whoever is going to be making the decisions. But to me, it looks like it's going to be something that's very fair, right? Hopefully that's helpful. Sending you guys lots of good vibes. I know last time I spoke to you, you were like, she doesn't know when she's going to get in there. So that's amazing how quickly that turned. Pink or white for Venus, because this is going to be more about reconciliation work. It's less like love related. It would be like pink for reconciliation. You can do brown for court cases too. That's something else that you can burn on like on a Wednesday, on a Mars day, or Thursday on a Jupiter day. But I would say pink is definitely doable. You're welcome. Let me know what happens. Look into, see if you can go to a Botanica and see if you can find some Little John root. And if not, you can find it at, you can definitely find it at Lucky Mojo online. But Little John root is like a root that in like folk magic, they would chew in their cheek. And then when you go to court, you'd be in front of the judge. As you were approaching the judge, you would kind of look down and they would spit on the floor. And it was just like a folk magic thing that people would do to kind of help them when it came to court cases. But good court case oil will have Little John in it, or it's called chewing root. Or you can go to some botanicas and head shops and just say it's called Little John, but if not, court case root. You don't have to chew it up and spit it on the floor. Please don't do that. But what you can do is you can take the root, you can rub it down with some court case oil or some high John oil. That's something else you can do. And you could wrap it in brown string. You can wrap it in purple string. You can just put some oil on it, wrap it even in like a little handkerchief and put it in your pocket, put it in your purse. But that's really good for court cases. Check out Lucky Mojo if you can't find anything in LA, because I don't know, I can't think of anywhere in LA unless there's like a folk magic shop. Maybe, I don't know where in LA you live, but check out the Green Man. They may have something like that. They do like British folk stuff, but they have a really great herbal bar, but they might actually have something there. Tell them that you need something for a court case. Or there's another place in Burbank. What is it called? I forget. There's a spiritual shop in Burbank, and the guy who runs it, his name is Salazar. Sal. His wife is like Greek, and it's like a magical shop. But he would probably have court case stuff as well. Or go to not Pan Pipes, Pan's Apotheca on the east side. Okay, go to Pan's Apotheca then. Go and talk to the chick there. I can't remember her name. She's like an Australian like witch. But go in there and tell her that what's going on with the situation. She'll dress candles and see if she's got a court case oil or if she's got chewing John. She makes the best dressed candles in LA. The best. They are really, really good. And she will dress them for you. She's got a whole bar behind her. I know all the spots. The Crooked Path. Sal at the Crooked Path is really good. He's like an East Coast practitioner. He does like the pull-out candles where he'll carve them and then roll them and then put them in the jar. But if you don't want to go to the Valley, go to Pan's Apotheca. Both of them are very good. I've had candles from both of them. They're very, very good. I know, I miss you guys too. All right, so we have got Monica. What's up, Monica? I don't see a question from you. Did you send me one? It's in the chat. All right, let me see if I can find it. Hi, Candace. A romantic relationship ended harshly with someone I deeply care for. A key person in my life journey. Can you tell me what the general energy is between us? On my end, it feels like boundaries are important to keep intact, and it's time to let go. Scorpio Sun, Virgo Rising, Libra Moon. All right, let's see what's up. Got you. All right, so let's see what the deal is. Virgo Rising, Scorpio Sun, Libra Moon. There has been a harsh kind of ending with somebody important. Does she keep the boundaries? Does she not? What do we need to know? All right, in this order. So we've got 4 of Cups, 10 of Cups, 10 of Wands. You know, to me, this kind of reads like there are cycles completing here. You've got 2 tens, right? Emotional completion and fulfillment. Obviously, like I can see, I don't think either party is totally happy with how this ended, 4 of Cups. But the 4 of Cups is a card that's like you're left dissatisfied. And whether that's kind of like, I don't feel like I got closure, or, you know, somebody did not, you know, take it upon themselves to like be kind in how they handled the situation or how they wrapped up the situation. Somebody is like either got their feelings hurt or somebody is, kind of put out or dissatisfied about how things ended. What's interesting is that, you know, the 3 of Cups is in front of you. They're not spilled over. The Ace of Cups is being offered to you. So it's kind of saying like, there is a possibility or a potential for reconnection. There are still feelings there. There is still a very strong emotional connection. But when this card comes up for me, it's kind of like me looking at the situation going like, if somebody really cared, they would make the effort, right? I don't have to go out of my way to go and try to, you know, kind of get closure or fix something if somebody didn't really show me respect or they didn't handle the situation appropriately or with kindness or with care. So if that's how somebody wanted to handle something, why am I going to go out of my way to try to go back to them or reconnect with them? So I think like if you're kind of saying to yourself, I don't like the way it ended, I don't like the way I was treated, I don't feel respected, and I'm really disappointed because I thought I had a really solid relationship with this person. So I'm going to kind of take a step back and I'm going to create a boundary until they go above and beyond to try to remedy the situation or fix it or heal the wound, like then no dice. And I think that that's where I would stay. The 10 of Cups is coming up, so that does make me feel like it is possible for there to be healing. It's almost possible for there to be reconciliation. Like this is possible. 10 of Cups is like emotional fulfillment, happily ever after, like things getting smoothed over, feeling very ecstatic about the fact that things were better. But that kind of sandwiched with the 10 of Wands is like, it makes me feel like one of two things. One is you probably realize if this has been a cycle in this relationship with this person where you guys will have issues and then all of a sudden, you know, there is either a breakdown in communication or you go through periods of not talking and then you reconnect and then you go through periods of not talking and reconnecting. Like maybe you realize if you don't put a stop to the pattern, right, that you may reconnect and things are better for a period of time, but then the same stuff is going to happen again. You're going to see the same issues happening again, which is going to lead you to being like, why did I let them back in? Or, you know, why have I agreed, you know, to just overlook what's happened in the past? Like, I'm not willing to do it anymore because you're going to be back right where you started. You know, the 10 of Wands is like, well, that was good for a period of time, but here I am now, you know, picking up the slack in the relationship and trying to fix things. And like, now I'm going up this uphill battle and like, we're facing some of the same problems. It really wants you to draw a line and draw a boundary, no matter how much you care about this person or love them or want them in your life, that if they can't come correct and if there cannot be a real, genuine, almost like apology or sense of like, you know, feeling or realizing or recognizing that how things was handled was wrong and like remorse for the situation, not just smoothing over it, then like there is no future. Like that person has to come to terms with the fact that, you know, what has happened was not okay, that it's not just going to be something you're going to overlook, that you guys really do need to like break up, right? And it's because one of two things are going to happen. You're either going to realize, actually, you know what? If they really cared, they'd come back and they would make it better, and they didn't. And that's okay because I recognize that this isn't healthy. And like, even though it's hard, moving on, I'm happier without them in my life. Or B, they're going to come back around, but there is going to be this kind of like come to Jesus conversation where you're going to be like, look, I'm not going to go round and round with you anymore. Like what happened really hurt me and I don't want to keep doing this. And I'm not willing to continue this pattern and I'm not going to. And you guys are going to have to start over, right? And you're not going to be able to carry some of those same patterns or some of those same issues into restarting the relationship. You're quite literally going to have to start from scratch. So I would almost approach this as it's over. The friendship, the relationship, whatever, I don't like saying that, but it has to be done because there has to be the sense of being like, I am really setting myself free from this, no matter how much I love them or care about them. I need to do what's best for me. And if they end up coming back in, then you decide if you want to take them back, but it's going to have to be a complete restart, like from the ground up, right? There is no going back and just smoothing this over. No, you guys would literally have to start over. But I think you're doing the right thing in holding that boundary. And I also feel like had you not done that, or if you were kind of slipping up or kind of going back into things, it would perpetuate the same cycle over and over. Okay. Difficult stuff with those cards, but you're going to be glad that you did it because you can put an end to a cycle that would have gone on forever. You are very welcome. I hope that was helpful. All right, so I have got, who do I have now? I have got Francesca, and then Cece, and then Amber. All right, so Francesca. Are you here, Francesca? I'm trying to find your question. I haven't seen it. And if you are, you can shoot me your question again because sometimes it gets lost in the chat. I apologize.
What's coming in for love? No, we have not done Tanya yet. All right, what's coming in for love? Let's take a look. Make sure you didn't send more than one because we had a couple of people who did that. Okay. So what's coming in for love? The card that you get is the Seven of Cups with a confirmation card of the Two of Coins, which is very similar energy. So here's the deal, right? So Seven of Cups, too many options, too many choices. Could it be this? Could it be that? Is it going to be this? Is it going to be that? This is not necessarily a bad card, but this is a card that's trying to get you to have clarity. This is a card that wants you to not have too many irons in the fire. This is a card that does not want you to be distracted. It also does not want you to be too idealistic or too hopeful or putting all of your eggs in one basket. Like for me, when I think about dating the Seven of Cups, it's just kind of like not really knowing what you want. On one hand, you can be like really idealistic and kind of like, yes, I want to meet somebody and everything's great. And then on the other hand, you can be like, actually, I don't really know if I'm ready, or I've got other things going on, or like, what if I meet somebody who's got commitment issues, or like, you know, like what if that takes away from like my goals and what I'm doing with my professional life, or like, what if I'm not in the right headspace, or, you know, like there's going to be too many things that are kind of flooding your mind when it comes to the topic of relationships and dating. It can also mean that the reason why you're not really seeing any headway is because there can be a sense of getting confused or getting lost and not really knowing what direction you're going in. So it wants you to gain some kind of clarity, right? I think that also with like the Two of Coins coming up, it's kind of saying it can be about weighing your options or being like, do I want this or do I want that? Do I want this person or that person? Or, you know, questioning whether or not you actually have enough time or energy to be able to kind of like expel on a relationship. And sometimes it could mean that you're not aware that there can be too much stuff that's going on. Like, you know, you think you want a relationship, but you're super consumed with work or another life situation, or there's something happening where you're like, I could totally be in a relationship. And, you know, these are all the things that I want for a relationship. And this realization that's like, well, the results that you're hoping to get and the actual amount of time that you're putting into things, like they're not adding up, right? So if you're not dating, Seven of Cups is saying, get clear about what it is that you do want. If you're like, hey, I just want something casual, totally fine. Know what you want. If you're looking for, you know, a long-term committed relationship, if you're looking to settle down, if you want to get married, know what you want, because what's happening is you're having a hard time actually having something that's coming in that's clear or committed or consistent or stable, or maybe you're bringing in people who are like, I don't know what I want, or you're getting to know them and then they're like, I'm not looking for anything serious, and you're like, what the heck? Because there's something going on where you haven't quite figured this out yet. Seven of Cups with the Two of Coins also, just be mindful of like juggling more than one person or somebody coming in that can be kind of taking up your time, and you know, you're investing time and energy into it, and you're like, well, should I still see what else is out there, you know? And I would say, yes, you should, because both of these cards are saying that unless it's something that's 100% green light, clear as day, somebody telling you straight up what they're interested in, what they want, pursuing you, you know, then essentially it's going to be a situation where, you know, you would kind of keep your options open. If you're not dating, you're not juggling, you're not looking, Seven of Cups could quite literally mean that you're like, I don't really know what I want. I'm not sure if I want a relationship. I don't really know if I want something serious. I don't know if I want a relationship. Then it's important for you to recognize that and be aware that the cloudedness and the confusion aspect of the Seven of Cups could mean that, you know, nothing is really going to just land in your lap, right? Sometimes people have that. They have either those transits or they have those cards come up where it's just like you're at the right time or the right place. To me, the indecisiveness, the Two of Coins, which is the confirmation, that's like, okay, you know, I could do this, but I don't really know if I want to put myself out there. I don't really know if I want to invest my energy, is actually keeping you from being able to meet someone. So it's not that, you know, lack of something to offer, lack of time, lack of appreciation or interest. I'm sure it's out there, but there is some cloudedness revolving around what ultimately your goal is if you were to be dating and trying to meet someone.
And I also feel like this is about maintaining a sense of balance. Like Two of Coins coming up is like, I've got other things that I'm trying to balance and maintain. If you're somebody who feels like your schedule is so crazy, your life is so crazy, your work is so crazy that it limits you from being able to date, there can be a sense of reassessment going on with the Two of Coins. If you're somebody who's been in a relationship in the past and you feel like you've lost yourself to relationships, or you get super involved in a relationship and it's all consuming and you lose time with your friends or your hobbies, or you're not as focused with your career and you lost sight of things, it can be saying that you're aware that that's happened in the past and now you're trying to approach relationships from a standpoint of, I want balance. I need to have something that works, that there is a flow, not that there is too much or not that there is too little. So the more that you're figuring out what it is you want, the easier it is to actually attract that. And I would say that this is about finding something or someone or a way to approach dating, if that's what you want, where there is moderation and also room for the universe to intervene. Because if you're not putting yourself out there, if you're not clear, then you're sending mixed messages basically to the universe. And so there in turn, you're having some confusion with connecting to someone. Pay attention to your dreams. Seven of Cups can also be a card that comes up when you start having feelings, dreams, visions, intuition before something happens. Deja vu even, that can be something else that can kind of pop up where you might feel like there's something symbolic, or, you meet somebody in a dream and then it plays out in real life and you're like, whoa, and that's something that can be giving you some kind of clarity, especially if you've been having issues kind of being decisive when it comes to relationships. Seven of Cups can be about contemplating or considering the past, but I see that more as like a situation where you're like, is that door really closed? Like, is it possible to go back there? And that's also like that imbalance of the Two of Coins, which is like, because you haven't made a decision, or maybe you are having a difficult time totally closing a door or letting go of the past, or maybe there is some sense of feeling kind of like, not stuck, but feeling like it's keeping you paralyzed from moving forward because you're reevaluating. Is there a connection there? Should I be going back? Am I going to hear back from the past? That it's keeping you from being able to make decisions about the future. Nothing about those cards make me feel like there's anything about your past that I would entertain. If anything, there can be things connected to the past that could potentially be inhibiting you from being able to move forward, right? No, I don't see the past coming back. So hopefully that is helpful for you. Clarity. I would sit down actually, because of all those, kind of like the coins kind of coming up. I would sit down and make a list of the pros and the cons of dating and get very clear about, what is it worth it and why is it not worth it? And then once you've gotten clear about the pros and the cons, or about somebody from the past, right? Whatever, if that's what you want to do. Then I would make a list of all of the things that that you're looking for. If you're like, hey, I'm interested in dating or I want to meet somebody, have a physical list to get very clear in terms of the direction where you're going for, the kind of qualities that you're looking for in a partner, all of that stuff. Get it down, tangible, so it's not kind of like swirling around in your head and it's this like abstract list that's like constantly changing. And it's going to help you stay firmly grounded and rooted in what you're actually bringing into your life, right? Hopefully that's helpful. All right, so we've got Cece, Amber, and then we've got Rosie. Okay, Cece, Amber, and Rosie. Cece says 3-card tarot reading. Let me see. Okay. You guys keep asking me if you're on my list. Amanda, we've got Amanda, Galilea, Diana, Swat, Kelly, Nancy. You guys are all on the list. So if you heard your name, you're on the list. You just have to be patient. You have to wait till you hear your name again. All right, so we're going to do Cece and then Amber and then Jessica. So can we hold that is the whole list. That was the whole list that I just gave you. All right. So Cece, can I get your question again? I'm sorry.
CC. Is that you, Cosmic D? Sometimes your guys' name on YouTube is different than on PayPal, so you'll be like, me, and I don't know who you are. So just so you guys know. But CC says 3-card reading. Okay, so let me know what your question is, and I'll do your reading. And Amber will be up next after you. And if you guys have not already clicked the like button, please give me a thumbs up on the stream. Make sure you're subscribed. All right, I'm gonna move on to Amber until Cece sends her question. So we're gonna take Amber. Oh, nope, there it is. Okay, never mind. Cece says, I'm struggling financially. I left an employer to empower myself. Is there an opportunity coming up? Okay, good question. So let's take a look. Pisces rising. Sun in Capricorn. Pisces rising, Sun in Capricorn. Okay. Well, you know, the Mercury retrograde is going to be in your 10th. So it can be about a change in direction with work. And if you're going back to work and the squares to Saturn, that's like, am I ready to go back to work? Sun in Pisces. Okay, I don't know. You're doing the... Give me the Sun, Moon, and Rising. Because it says Pisces rising. Okay, so I have the Chariot card, the Two of Swords, and the Queen of Wands. Okay, so basically, change is coming. When the Chariot card comes up, it basically means there is about to be a significant change. The direction of where you're going is changing. This can also be talking about travel, relocation, movement, but this is also about following your intuition, okay? So if your sun and your rising is in Pisces, you know, the retrogrades that's happening, Mercury retrograde, right? It's going to be happening in your 10th house. So it's going to be about a reworking of your career, which will square Saturn and oppose Jupiter. And it can mean that changes at work are impacting where you're living or how you're feeling. Can also mean that you're contemplating going back to work, you know, for reasons to be able to cover your cost of living. It can also mean that with Jupiter in your 4th house, you're considering or contemplating traveling, relocating, or going back home. So I don't know what's going to be changing on the home front. I just know the astrology and the fact that the Chariot is coming up, it can be implying all of these things. The Chariot comes up where it's like our intuition guides us and gets us on the right path and tells us where we need to go. But it can also be a card that comes up where things are kind of feeling like out of control and too much, and you know, where you're just like, I'm so stressed out, I don't know what to do. So when the Chariot card comes up, it can be saying like it's about going and finding safety and security and comfort when it comes to like home and family. Two of Swords says that there may be some like resistance to that, or that you're like, I don't know if I can go back or if I want to go back. I don't know if I want to move, you know, and kind of feeling like you're in a state of being like, you know, paralyzed with fear of having to make a decision. Like to me, it seems with the Mercury retrograde in your 10th opposing Jupiter square Saturn, where you're working or how you're working impacts your home, and it's going to score Saturn. So no matter what you do, you're going to have to feel like you're going to have to give. You're either going to have to take a job, most likely, that could be, you know, just to get you through, or something that you need to do for the time being until you figure out what you're going to be doing long term, or you're going to have to be willing to make some changes with your living situation, recalibrate, you know, possibly make a change with where you're living or who you're living with, to make it possible for you to kind of have a little bit more time to get on your feet and figuring out what you're doing for work. Like this is most likely the situation that you're going to see that's going to play out. I feel like what's interesting about this is that even though the Chariot card can feel destabilizing, it's saying like there is some forward motion. You're going to see something kind of coming that's going to propel you in the right direction. Two of Swords is also saying that you can't take too long to make decisions right now. You can't do that because windows of opportunity will close, or, you know, if you're not reaching out and communicating and talking to people and telling people what's going on and asking for help, it's going to make the whole situation harder. The
Queen of Swords, the Queen of Wands coming up can be talking about a Sagittarius, an Aries, or a Leo, but this can also be talking about some like new creative rebirth that's going to happen. New career opportunities, new professional opportunities, like making magic happen is very much the Queen of Wands. And kind of like opening up to this new potential path when it comes to your professional life and doing something that feels like it's going to have a lot more authenticity attached to it. It could be like a woman who comes in and you do some creative work or some collaborative work with her, or somebody who introduces you to someone who's going to kind of help you kind of further your career. But you have to either travel or you have to get outside of your usual space in order to do that. I think a lot of Pisces and Pisces risings are going to be like looking at, considering, or contemplating, you know, jobs that may be in other areas. And just knowing your astrology, I kind of get the impression that that might happen, or jobs that would allow you to relocate, or jobs that would say, hey, we'll let you work from home. You know, you're just working at a distance. Look for these types of things that are going to be popping up. I don't know what you do per se, but I'll tell you that the whole retrograde is about kind of getting back on track. And it's either going to be about making a decision where you're going to say, okay, I'm going to make lemonade. I'm going to get in there. I'm going to do something temporarily until I figure out where I'm going. Or I'm going to be making a change in my living situation to give myself a breather so I can then prioritize and really focus on what I'm doing for my work. Believe it or not, it will be fine. Like, it will be fine. The most difficult transit, I think, for a Pisces rising is going to be the Jupiter-Saturn square, because you're not going to feel thrilled or happy about anything that happens in regards to either your personal life or your home life briefly at the end of December, and then it's going to start to break. And a lot of Pisces rising with the Mars retrograde in the 5th house, they're going to do creative odd jobs. They're going to try to start their own businesses. They're going to try to do something that's going to be more home related. I think of people who are going to be getting into real estate, people who are going to be doing their own creative projects. Maybe they're launching their own creative businesses. They're working with new creative partners. All of that stuff is possible. Oh, it says TV and film production. So, you know, especially like the 5th house is like stuff that's like creative, right? And like you're about to have a full moon in your 3rd house, which could also be providing you with an opportunity to do some work that would require you to travel, or things with like TV. But I know that these cards are coming up because they're saying that you're supposed to be on the path of making decisions that's really allowing you to kind of exercise your talents like fully, without feeling restrained or stuck or limited, and like feeling like you have more of a say in what you're creating or what you're kind of putting together. So look for powerful women, maybe redheads, fire signs, people who kind of come in that might have some kind of collaborative energy. You may have to get outside of your comfort zone. You might have to kind of work in other areas or other places. But I think ultimately this is going to be like a big creative breakthrough, and it's probably going to be one of the better things that has happened for you work-wise, even though you're stressed right now. To me, just knowing your astrology, the financial side of things can become more critical in the spring of next year. Not necessarily yet, okay? Good luck. All right, so we have got... All right, we have got Amber, and then Jessica, and then Nancy. Amber says, I'm a Cancer rising, Pisces sun, Scorpio moon. Ooh, that's a lot of water. I just need some guidance. My son is having a very difficult time in school. He's 5, and he's been overly aggressive with other classmates almost daily. All right, so your children, you're welcome. Your children is your 5th house, okay? So obviously if you're a Cancer rising, this is connected to your Pisces sun. Yeah, actually, no, I would say 5th house is Scorpio. What am I saying? So be connected to your Scorpio moon. So Scorpio is aggressive, okay? Like there can be some aggression with that. There can also be, I think with Mars getting ready to go retrograde, it can be bringing up some like aggression, confrontation issues revolving around children. So Mars is actually in Leo. It's going to go in the 12th house. And then it's going to go through your ascendant, which it has, and now it's going to be hanging out in your 2nd house. So Mars going retrograde in Leo in like your 1st, 2nd house square your moon, it makes me feel like it's going to be about you reevaluating and instilling new values in your son, revolving around his emotional reaction and behaviors. You can tell me your chart, but really it's going to come down to his. But I would just say if your 5th house ruler is going retrograde, it's definitely going to impact your children. So let's see what the cards are saying about the aggressive behavior that's coming up. Seven of Wands, Nine of Swords, Ten of Coins. Well, at least this story has like a better ending. All right, so first things first, Seven of Wands is a combative energy. This is King of the Hill, I'm on top, can't knock me down, I'm first, I'm the best kind of energy. So this could represent like a kid that's got a lot of competitive energy, like a competitive spirit, and also like needing more of an outlet, right? Otherwise, there can be like a sense of kind of like trying to kind of start stuff with people. I do feel like the other thing that's worth mentioning is that it can be about starting to work with him, especially if Scorpio's in the 5th house. I think of like teaching him self-defense, teaching him martial arts, like teaching him how to have an outlet and how to have some form and some responsibility revolving around that energy and learning about respect and restraint, right? That can be something that can be like really helpful for him to learn, obviously depending on his placements. Nine of Swords is telling me that you're stressed out, you're worried, you're anxious, you're like, why is this happening? I have no control over it. I don't know how to handle it. Is it always going to be like this? No, I don't think so. Nine of Swords in the current position is saying that, it's not about feeling like you failed as a parent. It's just about finding another way to kind of reroute that energy and constructively teach him how to use it, right? Because I think a lot of this might be inherently part of his personality, that he is competitive, he's active, he's got a lot of energy, like there is like a side of him that wants to be first, wants to be the best. And so there is a way to work with that energy that can be constructive, and it doesn't have to be something that is negative. And I also feel like you're beating yourself up, and then there can also be times where you're trying to parent him in other ways, and like the way that you're trying to parent him to course correct this behavior is also like making you feel bad. Like there can be a sense of you being like, well, now I'm trying to reprimand him in a way that's like heavier than usual. And, I hate being like this because I feel like he's angry and getting frustrated. Now I'm angry and getting frustrated. And like, now you're in tears. So it's not helping anyone, basically. The positive is that the 10 of Coins comes up at the end. So it's saying like, this will smooth over. It will be fine. This is not going to be a kid that's going to be a bully. But I do feel like the 10 of Coins is the reward system. So it's about using a reward system. If you've been hearing he's been bullying kids at school, then maybe it's about letting him know, like, look, I'm going to be talking to your teachers. I'm going to be in touch with them. I'm going to be following up with them. Maybe it's about finding ways at home through some kind of home exercises and stuff to incentivize him to be patient, to be kind, to be courteous, to, apologize if he gets frustrated, or find ways to be able to positively manage his kind of outbursts and recognize and realize that, that it's not okay and that he's working on it, and using some kind of a reward system, and even if I'm not saying you have to give him like a candy, anytime he does something right, but this is about physical engagement. So it's like picking him up, giving him a hug. Oh my gosh, you did such a great job. I love it when you're patient and you're kind and you're respectful. Or teaching him about being a leader, teaching him about being responsible and like being kind and looking out for other people. So instead of being the bully, being the person that's protecting people from being bullied. And so maybe it's about teaching him how to recognize that behavior. And instead of picking fights with people, maybe if he sees a situation where somebody's getting picked on, he defends other people, not physically, but he'll stand up for other people and protect them. And teaching him how to use that energy in a way that can be positive and like kind of, supporting and kind of protecting others rather than taking it out on other people. But some kind of reward system, that's what really kind of needs to happen here. And maybe it's about talking to his teachers and stuff at school, being like, look, I appreciate you telling me, please keep me updated. I'm going to check in with you. And maybe it's telling your son, you know what, your teachers are calling me and telling me when, you're being mean and when you're kind of being like a kind of misbehaving at school. And this isn't going to fly, but if I'm hearing positive, feedback, and if I'm hearing that your teachers are saying, hey, he's going out of his way to actually be nice, and he's trying, and he's taking, his 10 minutes to kind of reflect, or maybe he's calming down in the corner, or he's apologizing, like that, there is going to be a reward system if you're hearing positive kind of feedback from teachers, rather than like, I better not hear that again. It's like, I hope I hear something and I hope it's good. And that's actually going to be something that's going to be rewarded as well. Get him into sports or something. Get him into martial arts. Get him into something where he has an outlet, because that is really going to calm a lot of things down for him, I think. Okay? Hopefully that's helpful. He must have like a lot of Mars energy in his chart. first house stuff, Mars squares, planets in Scorpio, planets in Aries. He may have a lot of that. All right, so now we've got Jessica, Nancy, and then we will have Rosie. Let's see, did I get, yeah, so we got Cosmic D. Okay, so we're gonna get Jessica and then Rosie. All right, so Jessica and Zika is my YouTube name. My boyfriend, love of my life, and I have just been terrible at communicating and not getting along the best. What do the cards say? He's a Scorpio moon and I'm a Taurus moon. I'm a Leo and he's a Gemini. Our jobs have been tough and demanding and we're just hoping for the light to come back. All right, well, definitely if you guys have different moons, you're gonna have different ways of reacting and responding to things. And also, your guys's, you know, your moons will square the Leo sun as well. Okay, so that's gonna cause a T-square, which can bring up some drama for sure. So let's see if we can tell Jessica what the cards say about the relationship that she is having. She's a Leo and he's a Gemini. Oof, so you have got the Fool, the Page of Swords, and the Three of Swords. You know, obviously nobody wants to see the Three of Swords kind of come up when they're having a relationship reading. That's the reality of the situation because it does talk about disappointment, heartbreak, challenges, issues revolving around relationships. As a Leo, you know, Mars is getting ready to go retrograde in your sign, which basically means you're going to be reevaluating, what do I need? What's best for me? What am I doing? What are my goals? Where am I traveling? You know, how am I feeling? Like it's a very me kind of transit. So was the Mercury retrograde in Leo as well this summer. So I put this out there because you're going to see this like December into the spring, you know, this whole reevaluation of who am I? And several times throughout the retrograde, where you're going inward and asking yourself these things, Mars will oppose Pluto, which is 7th house to your sun, which means you've got a partner going through a major change and transformation. You are reevaluating, you know, what's best for you and if it's in alignment with a partner. So like the Fool card coming up makes me feel like it can be Aquarius in your chart or about Aquarius in your chart. It can be about also like Uranus transits in your chart, which, you know, obviously going through the sign of Taurus can be about big changes with your status or, you know, with your career and the pressure that that's putting on you. Or maybe just cutting yourself a little bit of slack, you know, and giving yourself a little bit of time and space to just be like, we don't need to do anything dramatic. We're in a committed relationship. We love each other, but if we need some space from each other right now because we're not making any headway, so be it. And keeping things a little bit lighter instead of it being like drama and very black and white, which, you know, if you got fixed signs, whether it's your sun or your moon, like that happens. Okay. And you guys both have fixed moons. I also think about as a Gemini, he's going to have a Mercury retrograde in his 7th. So that means that he's going to have a breakdown of communication, reevaluation, change in direction going on with relationships. And both of you guys are going to want the same thing, but you may not be able to communicate that very, very well. And it's going to score Saturn, which means there's going to be some questions about, well, where are we going? And so if you go into this like November, December period blind, and you're just like, well, we'll just hope for the best. There's going to be a lot of being like, well, what are we doing? What's going on? Not communicating, trying to push an issue, trying to gain clarity. And then you guys are going to end up like fighting a lot. So I would say it doesn't have to be a dramatic breakup. It doesn't even have to be an ending. It could be like, hey, we're going to give each other space. You know, we love each other. We're going through some stuff right now. You know, we're just going to give each other some space. And I really feel like the Page of Swords is about, if you don't do this, if you guys don't give each other space, and if you aren't giving each other time to process things and think about things and figure out how to reapproach the relationship, things can and will be said that can be very hurtful. Things that can be said during the Mercury retrograde opposed Jupiter can be blown out of proportion, taken personally. It can become very dramatic. And even as a Leo, right? The retrograde's 5th house to your sun. So it's going to be about going back and forth, revolving around a relationship. This period can be very difficult. If you guys don't mind how you're communicating, there can be some heartbreak, some hurt feelings, and it can actually be more difficult and you'll do more damage. Rather than being like, okay, cool, Mars retrograde in my sign, focusing on myself, maybe I'm traveling, I'm doing some stuff, I'm learning how to better myself, I'm giving my partner some space, a little bit of distance, I think, with a Mercury retrograde in opposition to, you know, his sign is good. A little bit of absence can make the heart grow fonder. And if he's a Virgo rising, the eclipses and everything are in the 7th. So like you guys have another eclipse in the spring and a retrograde in the spring, that's going to be more defining. For you, this is about you being like, okay, how do we learn how to bridge the gaps in our home, our emotions, our past, to be able to move further into the future? With North Node Saturn eclipses in his 7th, there's definitive changes going on in relationships. And he may feel like a partner is running away or being evasive. With eclipses happening, obviously, in, you know, the Sagittarius, you know, 4th house, there can be this energy of being like, I need to be alone, I need to be reevaluating things. And so until you come out of these mutable squares, as we're getting into the new year, things get easier. So for right now, I would keep things light. I don't feel like now is the best time to be addressing where there's hurt feelings. I think it's time to just kind of take a step back and be like, respectfully, we don't want to make things worse. Let's give each other some space. We'll kind of allow there to be time to kind of come back together. And then you guys can address this closer to like the end of the year, right? Also, traveling, being apart, being at a distance, these things can actually like really, really help in allowing you guys to communicate in a way where, you know, it is going to be at a distance and there isn't the pressure of having to see each other or being around each other physically, and like allowing time for you guys to be able to kind of find your way back to each other. Confirmation card is the 2 of Cups. So I feel like this is just you're going through a bumpy patch. But it does seem to kind of indicate that there is going to be space and time for you guys to be able to reconnect and like work through the relationship issues and like also have a newfound appreciation for each other after not having a lot of time together. Cool. You're going on a solo trip for Thanksgiving, right? So it's like literally, I'm telling you, this will start to clear up around mid-December. So, you know, within about a month, you're going to start to see this will get easier because the retrograde's ending. You know, we'll still see Mercury opposed and kind of square and stuff. But then things are going to settle out a little bit, and I would be watching that full moon that's going to be in Gemini that's taking place in Sag season. That's going to be very telling. Hopefully that's helpful for you guys, and hopefully you guys can kind of heal and let go of some of the petty stuff. I feel like Page of Swords and 3 of Swords is like petty things that we say that's just like really, you know, like really like we don't mean it, or we get agitated or like whatever, you know, and then that kind of builds up and then it turns into a situation that's like, whoa, how did we get here? So yeah, if you want to talk constantly, if he wants to talk constantly, create the space. And he's going to notice just with like the retrogrades that a partner is going to be backing off a little bit anyway. 2 of Cups is definitely a good confirmation that you guys are still solid though, you know? All right. So with that being said, we have got Rosie. And then after Rosie, we'll have Nancy and Kelly and Swats. You're welcome. I hear a dog that is crying in the other room. I don't know what he's doing, but I can hear him. Amanda, you are the last person. So no, I have not done your reading yet. So there is going to be, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You're 7 people away. I will call your name. Don't worry. All right. So, we've got Rosie. So let's do Rosie really quick. Thanks for your patience, Rosie. Peace and light. 1 card, please, to summarize the rest of 2024. PayPal and I don't get along, so I'm donating here. That's okay. All right, so let's see. How can we summarize the rest of 2024 for Rosie? And the card of the evening is the Chariot card. There has been a lot of that going on. There's a lot of people picking up, moving, making some big emotional shifts, making some big changes revolving around their family, all of that stuff. And also, I mean, come on, this is connected to Cancer, Mars will retrograde in Cancer. That's going to be a huge theme, obviously, at the end of the year. But the Chariot card, you know, it does talk about finding your sense of direction and like getting the show on the road, right? So it's like when I think of like the guy who's driving the Chariot, you know, you have to have a sense of like direction, composure. You know, you have to also like feel like you're in control. You have to be in the driver's seat. Otherwise, you know, both of like the sphinxes are going to kind of go in different directions and it's going to be like chaotic and you can kind of like fall off. So this is about getting very clear. And when I think of the Chariot card, I think about also like I think about the finish line. You know, for you, it might just be like, I just need to literally get to the end of this year and then I'm going to like reassess, you know. She said, I just hung up with my mom and you said my question. Well, the Chariot can be talking about focusing on your goals and just getting to the end of the year, making some big sweeping shifts revolving around your home, your family, your emotions, listening to your intuition, letting that be your guide, strengthening your intuition, especially when it comes to making decisions. The Chariot card can also be foreshadowing that there is like a trip or travel coming, that you're going to be going somewhere, right? Or you're really emotionally invested in where you're going. And the Queen of Wands is your confirmation card. So I think that this can be very much kind of connected to your passions, your goals, your creative projects, your romantic relationships. It's a lot about confidence too. I mean, the Queen of Wands is very confident. So this is definitely about moving forward and being like, yes, I've got this, you know, I can do it. You know, I'm capable, and like really feeling like you're going after your goals and that you're achieving them in a way that feels like it's sustainable. That it's not, you know, a little bit forward, a little bit back, or it's not kind of side to side or inconsistent. It's like you're kind of constantly kind of moving with things and seeing them come to fruition. She says, I have a 10K, but I feel like there's also a turn coming in life. So definitely feeling the focus. Yeah. And I think that it's not these are not negative cards, by the way. Okay. These are not negative cards. I like how you said that you have a 10K. So you literally are going to be running towards the finish line. But this is more about getting more involved and aware and invested in what some of your home, your private life, your emotional, your family goals are. And you're going after those things and you're getting creative with how you actually reach some of those goals. So, you know, stay on it. Look for some help that can come from, you know, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius type placements. People who are going to be encouraging you and inspiring you to get the show on the road with things that you've been wanting to do or wanting to create for some time. And feeling confident in the process of being able to kind of execute some of that stuff. Okay. Great card. Great card. Definitely the Chariot is the card of the evening. It's come up so many times. And thank you, Rosie, for your donation. I appreciate it. Pisces sun, Leo moon. Oh, so yeah, definitely with the Pisces, like kind of Leo aspect, the retrograde is about kind of focusing more on habits and routine, maybe even like work and health. All right, so let's see. Am I missing anyone? I don't think so. All right, so I'm going to keep moving. Let's see. Tanya, you were the very first reading that I did. All the way at the beginning of this video. So you were the first person. So you may be able to scan all the way back, or right when I'm done with being live, you can watch it. But I think you can actually scroll back. But yeah, I did do it. Thanks, Rosie. I appreciate it. All right. So next, so we had. All right. So now we have Nancy. So we have Nancy, and then we are going to have Kelly, and then Swats. What's up, Nancy? Nancy is a Sun in Virgo, Moon in Leo, and a Pisces rising. I'm concerned about my pay at work. Less bookings and tips. Will my finances get better? What's up? All right, let's take a look. So just to confirm, Pisces rising, Sun in Virgo. All right, so Virgo's your 7th house. You had a Mercury retrograde in your 6th. You're going to have a Mars retrograde in your 6th. Mars rules money and work. So it's pretty safe to say that pretty much between, you're going to see this December into the spring, and you're going to see this again in the spring. There's two pretty significant retrogrades that are going to be impacting your work and either change in direction with how you're making money or what you're doing is kind of coming up. Good news is the cards seem very positive. 10 of Cups, the Empress, the Page of Wands. Do I see there being an increase in funds? Well, your second house, which is Libra, is where you're going to see money stuff happen. So you're going to want to look at your natal Venus and transit Venus. But for right now, transit Venus is getting ready to go through your 4th house. And basically when it gets into like Capricorn, when it gets into Aquarius, that's probably when you're going to see some of your better financial things happen. Watch for when Venus conjuncts Pluto. There could be some work stuff happening that can change there. As a Virgo rising, you're having South Node eclipses, a Pisces rising, you're having North Node eclipses in your 2nd, South Node eclipses in your 8th. So working harder for the money, and definitely a realignment that might be potentially happening for you in the spring, okay? But the cards specifically, just what the cards are saying, 10 of Cups, it's going to be about some reason to celebrate, feeling good about some kind of shift that's happening for you emotionally, or working parties, events, connections, and collaborations with other people. It can be about working with groups or people bringing you in and like celebrating the fact that you're going to have a new opportunity, or that there's going to be, more abundance, or maybe that you're going to be working with a different company. The Empress, which is basically talking about money, resources, abundance, and also like a woman. So it can be a woman coming in that's like offering you a job or offering you some assistance. The positive, I think, about, being a Pisces rising is that this Mercury retrograde that's going to happen for you in your 10th, even though it's going to square Saturn and oppose Jupiter, it's like if you want to change jobs, or if something's been slow, it can pick up, or if somebody who you've worked with in the past, comes back and offers you a job, you can consider picking something up. So I would keep a lookout for like women or people that you've worked with in the past, or people from the past who may offer you something. I do see like the Page of Wands coming up, which is insinuating that you are getting creative with ways that you can go about like making more money, right? Like almost like the Page of Wands is, you're dressing differently when you go to work. Maybe you are focusing on the relationships with your patrons. Maybe you are thinking about picking up, side gigs here and there that's going to be about entertaining, or it's going to be something kind of connected to hospitality. You're venturing into other potential areas where you could still be working in a similar field, but making some extra cash. I do feel like the Page of Wands can also be about skills. So when you're saying like, I'm getting less bookings and I'm getting less tips, it's like, okay, well, what new skills are you potentially developing that could be kind of showcased at your work, so you're more likely to be getting, more recognition. Whatever that is, culinary, entertaining, whatever you're doing, like something that's going to be bringing you more attention. That would also like kind of make you a little bit more visible and a little bit more seen, because the Page of Wands obviously likes to kind of like dance and kind of put themselves out there and kind of, get as much attention as they can. I feel like you could be in an environment where you're being seen more too. So I don't know if you're like in front of the house, if you're in the back of the house, what you're doing in terms of like entertainment and hospitality. But I do feel like there are definitely opportunities coming where you're going to be able to be seen more, which in turn can help you make more money. So look for some support that's going to come from either a woman or some kind of training. Keep your ears open for people from the past that you've worked with that may kind of come back around, or a change in direction with your current situation. And my guess is that, Venus going through Capricorn is going to be much better for your chart. Venus going through your 6th house, much better for your chart. And you have to go and look at your transits to your natal Venus, because that'll be showing you what's kind of going on with money in general. But, Venus has recently been in a square to Saturn, so there hasn't been as much hospitality and kind of generousness and like people kind of giving more. But I feel like this could be something that's really kind of changing for you, especially kind of come the spring. And if you have, if you have Venus in Leo, for example, then the Mercury retrograde or the Mars retrograde is somehow impacting your Venus, right? And it's 6th house from your ascendant. So that means that through the retrogrades, you're going to be like, I am maybe changing locations, or I'm changing, the schedule that I'm working within, right? Or I'm changing and I'm working at a different company, or I'm working at a different bar or a different restaurant. I would, during those retrogrades, consider that. If not changing shifts, I would be considering looking at other locations, which is going to be having a little bit more traffic and making it more likely for you to kind of make more. Okay. But those are some very positive cards. They're not money cards, but those are positive cards which seem to indicate that the situation is going to kind of change. I hope that's helpful for you. All right, so we have got Kelly, and then Swats, and then Diana. Hi Candace, I'm a Cap rising, Aquarius moon, and Leo sun. My husband and I have been dealing with infertility for a while now, and I'm very excited for this full moon in Taurus in my 5th house. Do you see any good news for us? Thank you so much. All right, let's take a look. So what can we tell Kelly about this full moon in her 5th house? Conjunct Uranus. All right, so we've got the 8 of Cups, the 8 of Wands, and the 6 of Wands kind of coming up. Confirmation card is the 8 of Swords. 8 of Cups is about moving away from where you've been. Maybe you feel like you've been trying certain methods. You've been kind of hopeful that things were going to work. They haven't worked in the past. You're like, okay, I'm focusing on moving forward. We're letting go of any of the emotional kind of issues revolving around some of this stuff with, you know, fertility, and healing and overcoming some of like the past issues there. Then you have the 8 of Wands. And so the 8 of Wands does talk about like passion, action. This is a card that is about sex. This is a card that's also about taking action and feeling incentivized and like trying to kind of bring that energy in, that there is going to be a lot of opportunity for there to be something that's going to stick. You have the 6 of Wands, which comes up, which does talk about like victory and, you know, having some reason or something to celebrate. And that this could also be a time where you're feeling like, okay, yes, you know, we finally like have something. I mean, there are no cards coming up that's a direct confirmation. There's no pages. There's, you know, the Empress card isn't coming up, anything like that. But it is saying like being successful in your endeavors when it comes to trying to conceive. Now we've got 8s here. So like just having the full moon isn't enough. Okay. The full moon there could bring something short, but you're going to want to also look at where Saturn is, right? Saturn is your 5th house ruler. Where Venus is, that's your 5th house ruler. So look at where transit Venus is going and also look at what's happening to your natal Venus. I feel like this is saying that there can be some success, there can be some spontaneity when it comes to having sex, that there can be a sense of like being more optimistic and hopeful for some of the results. It can take up to several weeks after the full moon to kind of see the effects of that. What you want to be careful of is with the 8 of Swords coming up is like going into it being like, okay, we're really excited, but what if it doesn't happen? Like it's not getting into that headspace where you're like, well, what if it doesn't? Or like, what if it doesn't work? Like don't hold any energy attached to that right now. The worrying, the concerns about the blockages, like that kind of stuff, like that can actually impact energetically the ability for you to kind of feel like something can kind of stick safely. The 6 of Wands also for me is kind of saying that this is about like anticipating that something is coming, you know, and like knowing and like feeling into that energy, like getting excited before something potentially happens. This is also about like maybe traveling, you know, having, you know, like spontaneous sex or doing something where it's not only just focused on that. Like there's going to be other things that you're doing that's taking your mind off of it. So you're not super hyper focused on the idea or the, you know, the concept of conception. It's just kind of like letting things happen. So not really feeling like you have to kind of like plan things and make everything happen at a certain time. Okay. That's something that's really important when it comes to this, and not letting like the fear of getting stuck or something not working kind of like creep in. Right? Anyway, I hope that that's helpful for you guys. Lots of baby dust for you. Lots of baby dust for you guys. Go look at your progressed chart as well. Go look at like your progressed moon or what's going on with your 8th house. That'll give you a lot of insight as to that. And like lunar returns, you can do lunar returns month by month, and you can see like the months where the moon is returning to the 5th house, or months where you're going to see where you're more fertile. So that can be really helpful as well if you haven't done that. That's something that I offer. I do that for some of my reports for clients. All right, so we have Swats and then Diana And then we have Gala. You spelled it out for me earlier. I don't want to botch your name. If you can spell it for me again, is it Gaila? I can't pronounce it. I apologize. I hate it when people mispronounce my name, so that's why I'm saying spell it out for me. All right, so we have SWATs. What's up, SWATs? SWAT says 3-card reading. First fresh transfer did not work for IVF. Planning to go the first week of December to do a frozen egg embryo transfer. What do you see for this pregnancy? Cap rising, Aquarius stellium. Thank you. Galila. Okay, got it. All right, so SWATs is trying to do IVF transfer, wants to do a cold transfer in December. What do we see for this pregnancy? All right, so here's the deal, okay? You're a Cap rising. You're going to be having, you know, retrogrades and things that are going to be kind of going on involving your 8th house. All right, so having a Mars retrograde in the 8th house in December. So you may want to really look into the timing. I'm not going to tell you what to do. 8th house can be about fertility, but with a Mars retrograde, it's like how much money we're spending going in and, you know, doing something revolving around like life or surgical procedures or, you know, reproductive procedures, and the oppositions to Pluto in your sign could make things a little complicated. It could make it costly as well. Okay, just a heads up. Interesting. High, Hanged Man, Tower, and the Hermit card. Well, obviously these are 3 majors. Okay, and so the Hangman and the Hermit card are very similar energies. I feel like the Hermit card is about turning within and kind of figuring out what's going on the inside and what's happening, you know, in your mind and in your body and in your kind of sphere. And then we've got the Hangman, which is just kind of like being blissed out, recognizing that things around you are changing, but being very kind of grounded and centered, and taking like a detached approach. So this is more about Pisces. This is more about Virgo. And then we've got the Tower in the middle, which obviously is a card that's just kind of like, whoa, there can be like lots of upsets. There can be some shocking, surprising things. And Mars is connected to the Tower card. Okay, so when we think about this, right, because of Cap rising, you know, Pisces for you is going to be your 3rd house. So it can be about your mental state or traveling. Virgo is going to be your 9th house, which could also be about traveling. It could be about legal things, you know, stuff revolving around your beliefs. I would be looking for, you know, when you're having a very strong transit in your 5th house, or involving your 5th house Lord personally. Okay. You know, you're traveling for the transfer. So it's like, okay, traveling for the transfer, going somewhere, being there, paying the expenses, paying for the treatment, and then coming back. I'm not going to say don't do it, but with all of the time, energy, and resources that's being invested into this, it's probably a really good idea for you to, you know, be doing this at a time where you know that you're going to have kind of the stars in your favor. Hold on. Let me see if I've got your chart. I think I do. Maybe I don't. Remind me, when is your birthday again? I don't know why it's not coming up in my files, because I could have sworn I had it. February 10th, 86. And where was that? What was the time? Yeah, and you've got Jupiter also in your... You've got Jupiter in your 6, square Saturn, and you've got Pluto square your nodes, and that's part of what's getting you into some stickiness, because Pluto square your nodes as they're kind of connected to your whole sign 5th of children is bringing up some issues. So in my mind, once again, not going to tell you what to do. Personally, I would not go and do anything fertility related with a retrograde in my 8th house. That's just me. I think you're better off waiting until either Venus is coming into a trine with Jupiter. So this is going to be like, obviously, it's going to depend on your cycle, but I'm like looking at like the 19th, 20th, 21st. You could also do something like when Venus and the moon are conjunct your moon, which is going to be around January 2nd, 3rd, 4th-ish. And then when Uranus is direct in your in your 5th with Venus, and that'll be closer to like June of 2025. Okay, so I know I'm throwing a lot of dates at you, but these would all be times that's kind of better. Even the December date that I gave you, when Venus is in better aspect, Mars is still retrograde, but by then it's going to be in your 7th house, right? And what you're really dealing with is the Pluto square. So Pluto square your nodes right now is making it more challenging or difficult to actually conceive. But in your progress chart, Jupiter's going to go into your 5th house this year, once it comes out of a square with Saturn, which is after December. And Mars is going to go retrograde over your moon. So it looks like if that doesn't work, you're going to go back again and you're going to do something or consider doing something in February. Or in mid-March. Personally, timing-wise, I would be doing this either in February or sometime between mid-March to the beginning of April. Those times are better in your progress chart. Just my 2 cents. Anyway, I hope that that's helpful, giving you some insight. And really what the cards are saying is that you have to really take time to kind of think about it and integrate and kind of go, okay, I really want this, but if I'm continuing the path that I'm continuing, is this sustainable? Can I keep doing it this way? Is it becoming too costly? Is it making it more difficult? And like, is it also me realizing and recognizing that it may be a matter of timing, and also, waiting until you feel like your body has had a little bit more time to kind of like readjust hormonally and emotionally before you make that change. And it's interesting that this talks about the eclipses when the transits are also talking about the eclipses that are going to happen in the spring, that may be another time. Okay. Good luck. A lot going on when you're doing all of that. Emotionally, physically, energetically, Let's see, who else do we have? So we have Diana, and then we have Galia, and then we have Amanda, right? All right. What's up, Dave? I'm doing well, thank you. I hope you're good. Right at the tail end of our evening. All right, so I have got Diana's questions here. Will I make a good income soon making faceless YouTube TikTok videos using AI? Can you teach me how to do that? Cancer ascendant, sun in Sag, moon in Virgo, and YouTube videos. All right, so Cancer ascendant, sun in Sagittarius. So obviously you like to hide with that sun in the 8th house, and your moon is in Virgo. All right, let's take a look. That's a good place for videos, moon in Virgo. Although the moon is your face, but the south node's going into Virgo, so you don't want to show it, right? So what can we tell her about these faceless YouTube, TikTok videos? We have got the King of Swords. So, King of Swords, information, knowledge, relaying something, connecting with people, being bold, captivating, drawing attention, but also educational, direct. I don't know what the videos are about, but I do feel like this can definitely draw attention. You can get a crowd, you can get things going. To me, it seems like it takes a lot of mental stuff to still put this together. Even if you're not being seen, putting it together, producing it, creating it, mastering, getting on a schedule. Like this is going to be like the big, this is like the big part of it. Do I think things can catch on and you can do well? Yeah, I do. Kings are about mastering an energy, right? And it's also about like taking something that you know very well and being able to relay that information, and then, you know, people being drawn to it and like being able to kind of like, you know, kind of just really, really handle it in a very professional way. But I feel like with the King of Swords, it's about getting really good at one thing and mastering one thing and being mindful of like not spreading yourself too thin. So she says, I want to have different channels for health, manifesting, magic spells, truth, ritual. Okay, so that's fine. You can do that. Okay, obviously there's a wide range of interests that you have, but let's just get real here. Cancer rising, right? Sun in the 8th house. So you're going to be promoting change, teaching people about change. Moon's in the 3rd house of communication. This is going to be about health, organization, that type of stuff. My advice is, because you're going to have a complete reorganization of your career stuff even again in the spring in like March and April with eclipses and retrogrades, that you can try to do a bunch of stuff at once, right? And see what sticks, and then, you know, take it until you get to the beginning of next year, and then you can reassess, and then you can kind of trim the fat and see what is and isn't working, and then you can kind of fully prioritize more things. But stick to what you know, right? Because the King of Swords is really good at relaying information and being able to teach information. So definitely, you know, health, organization, anything revolving around home and home care, those things you're going to do well with. I'm not saying you can't do the manifestation, the rituals, the, you know, spell stuff. You can. But I feel like the reality of the situation is the Mercury retrograde that you're about to go through is trying to figure out how to bring in more money from other people. And the challenge is that all of that is going to come into a square with Saturn. Which means that, you know, you're really trying to figure out, okay, you know, realistically, what do I feel comfortable with or capable of being able to kind of teach? What information can I get out there, and like what, you know, what do I know the most about? So don't, you know, be careful trying to bite off more than what you can chew and juggling too many things, because you're going to have to refine it. Focus on being really, really good at one topic. And it can be broad. It can be like health and wellness. And then it's like, okay, well, here are all the things. Or it can be, you know, spiritual stuff, manifesting spells, all of the things. But create one big umbrella and then try to kind of create all the other things underneath it. Be consistent, take it seriously, treat it like a job. Right? King of Swords is going to be like, this is my job. Even if you're not feeling like you're immediately making money, this is about treating it in a way where it's like you're clocking in, you're clocking out, you're showing up, and you're having to do the work. And the consistency in itself and the information that you're relaying, I think it's enough to actually get people's attention. Okay. Hopefully that's helpful for you. All right. So we've got Galila. She's got a 3-card question, and then Amanda. So Galila says, is it really over between me and this guy that I've been seeing? This is our 2nd time trying things out. I'm a Scorpio rising, and Uranus is approaching my descendant again. He's an Aquarius sun, if that helps. All right, well, you're about to get your answer. Okay, you're about to get your answer, because you're about to have this like big, crazy, wild full moon in your 7th house. So for Scorpios and Scorpio risings, you know, the up and coming full moon in the 7th can feel like a definitive make or break situation in a relationship. It can feel like, you know, you're gaining clarity as to whether or not it's going to, you know, be over and complete, and if it's going to break away and break free, or if there's going to be some spontaneous opportunity for some shift. Venus rules that, it's in the 3rd. So for a Scorpio rising, I kind of feel like this is about you going, okay, you know, through communication, I'm going to gain clarity about what they can and cannot do, or what they do or they do not want. And like, it's going to be a big conversation time. 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, that whole time period, because of the Uranus opposition, also is going to be how you're responding to what's going on with a partner and their needs. Okay. So is it over with the Aquarius sun? These are the cards that I get. I don't really get the vibe that it's over. I get the vibe that it's almost like you're putting him in timeout. You know, the Strength card is like, I'm going to let you have your moment. Like, clearly there are some things going on I don't have any control over. I'm trying to handle the situation with care. I'm not trying to force things. I'm not trying to make them make a decision. I'm also myself not trying to make myself make a decision, and like trying to let things be. And part of the Strength card is about learning to love somebody even in a difficult state or even if they're going through something. So if like Uranus is going through your 7th house and it's going in and out of your 7th, restless, impatient, needing independence, getting frustrated, you know, you're going to see that kind of happening with relationships, even, you know, with other people. It does not matter. You'll keep meeting people. Talk to any Scorpio rising. You're going to keep meeting people through that transit, and it's like they're on, they're off, they're back, they're forth, and you don't know what you want. So thankfully, like next year, we will start to see the glimmers of that changing. Unfortunately, it sounds like you're a late degree Taurus rising, so also like Algol is there, so it can mean that they're having like mental health issues or they're stressed out. Sometimes this means people are drinking. Sometimes it means that they're having financial stress. It just depends on their personal placements. But I feel like the Strength card is like looking at the situation, being like, I'm trying to be as strong as I can. You know, I don't want to continue to do the back and the forth. I want to have a space where there is some groundedness and there is some peace. But 4 of Cups, like I'm no longer going to be engaging with the back and forth. You know, if they're going to be like that and they're going to kind of be hot and cold with you, and then they're going to be like, okay, you know, I need some space. You're going to be like, okay, great, I'm going to give it to you. Which Scorpio risings, they can do that. Sure, they can do that. They can definitely flip that switch. But they don't generally like that. They don't generally like change, right? They don't like that abandonment. They like the love, affection, the touchiness, the neediness of partners, because Taurus is in the 7th. So likely with the 4 of Cups, even though that's not what you want to do, you don't want to be like, okay, dude, you know, good luck, or go your own way, or I'll give you your space. You don't want that. But there's also this sense of kind of being like, I'm not pleased with the cycle, with what's happening and what's been going on. I'm not feeling chosen, or I'm not feeling considered. And the 3 of Cups, you know, in front of you is saying there's still opportunity for relationship. The Ace of Cups is being offered to you. So it is saying that there is still an opportunity to continue, but it needs to be in a much more balanced way. Like the 6 of Coins is saying that there needs to be more give and take in the relationship, and that if there's been way too much patience on your part, in understanding, you know, maybe there's a sense of finally kind of saying to them, like, if that's the way that you're going to act, like, I don't want to engage with that. I'm going to give you your space. And like taking a step back doesn't mean anything needs to change or that it's over or anything like that. Nothing like that's coming up. But the 6 of Cups, the 6 of Coins is about reassessing the relationship and being like, this needs to be more so in balance. And like what you're putting into it is what you're going to get. And if this is the kind of energy that they're kind of putting into the relationship, it's going to get to a point where you're going to finally get so sick of the back and forth and the emotional whiplash that you're just going to be like, it's not affecting me as much anymore because this has become the new normal. And then you're gonna have to reassess whether or not you want to be in it. Nothing here is saying it's over, but the cards are saying that you're becoming less and less either attached or connected in the relationship, because there is this feeling of not being appreciated, or maybe somebody taking your feelings for granted. And that, you know, there is a need to kind of recalibrate a little bit and like also be aware of your needs in the relationship. You know, the 6 of Coins can be about looking at the situation, being like, am I giving so much to this that I'm actually doing myself a disservice? Like I'm the one, because I stay in this dynamic, that I can't complain about not being happy or not getting what I need in a relationship when I'm perpetuating the cycle. So it can be about getting support and things from other people who are kind of giving you that feedback and making you realize that you do deserve more. But unfortunately, yeah, with Uranus going back and forth over your 7th house, you're going to see the in and the out, the back and the forth. But a major turning point is definitely going to be that full moon. And just thinking about Venus being in the 3rd house, it's going to be a conversation that could be a make or break conversation. You have the opportunity to be like, look, this is what's been going on. This is what I'm putting into it. And like, I'm not liking the back and forth. Like I want to get off the merry-go-round, you know, and you could recalibrate things that way. That is possible. Anyway, I hope that's helpful. Been there, done that with that transit. Would not wish that on anyone. Definitely not a fun transit at all. But there is some sense of kind of getting liberation from relationships. You know, you're freed from a relationship if it's just something that's just like too hectic and chaotic. All right, so we have, last but not least, Amanda. Thank you for being patient. I appreciate it. Amanda says, I'm a 29-degree Virgo rising. Okay. Cap Sun in the 4th house. And then Taurus Moon, North Node in the 8th. I have a lot of Earth, and change is never comfortable for me. I have been dating the same guy on and off for 2.5 years. We took a 6-month break last year. What do you see about our future? He's a Cancer Sun, Sag Rising, and Gemini Moon. Wow, you guys have a lot of like squares then with like the Virgo rising. Okay, so just kind of thinking through this, you know, 29 degrees Virgo rising. Neptune's on your descendant, so you're like, where are we going? Saturn's coming up onto your descendant next year. You know, are we committing? Is this something serious or is it not? Mercury and Venus are going to retrograde. I mean, I'm just going to tell you, knowing that you have that critical degree on your descendant and then you're having Saturn there, Neptune there, retrogrades and eclipses, the first like 4 months of 2025 is going to be very eye-opening for relationships. And it can mean that you're realizing this is the time, this is the place, this is the person, let's go. Or it can be a time where you're like, oh my God, I'm realizing, you know, it's not what I thought it was, or maybe this isn't what I want, or is this person avoidant? Like those things can come up as well. They have Jupiter obviously going through their 7th. So that's going to be bringing up opportunity for growth in relationships, and Saturn in their 4th, which is home and family. So the cards are probably going to say that most likely there is a lot of growth in these relationships that's going to be happening, and you're going to start to see this in the spring. But until then, there's going to be this sense of like, where are we going? What are we doing? And that Mercury retrograde is about to be a doozy for you, even though it's mostly going to be in your 3rd, it's going to be in your whole sign 4th, right? So it's going to be, well, what's changing with my home, my emotions, and how does that impact a relationship or like a partner? Okay, so it is kind of saying that. It is kind of talking about the spring next year, spring, summer. Could be the full moon in Gemini. Okay, Gemini is the lovers. We've got the lovers card, the 4 of swords, and the 2 of cups. Excuse me, the 2 of coins. Intuitively, I feel inclined to tell you, be very weary and mindful of like just assuming that somebody is kind of making plans and proceeding forward and kind of leading you into the future. Okay, don't function like that. Don't assume like, okay, we'll just see where this goes. Unless you're fine with that and you don't have any plans or anything, that's fine. But like Virgo rising at 29 degrees generally is like, what's the plan? What's the details? When are we doing it? How are we doing it? You know, like you need to know all that stuff. And I feel like, yeah, there can be a sense in the 7th house with Saturn and Neptune that you're like, where the fuck is my partner? Like, how can they not see that I need more clarity? How can they not see that I need them to make decisions or lead me? You know, like, why are they abandoning me? Like, what's going on? And you can get really frustrated very quickly with them, with this transit. And I feel like with the Lovers card and the 4 of Swords, it's saying that if you just kind of like go with, well, we're in a relationship and that's enough and we'll figure it out and love will lead the way, you may actually feel like things are stalling and that you're not actually going where you want to go in the relationship, and that there is a sense of just becoming kind of complacent and like, yeah, like stalling. And so the Lovers card can mean that you're kind of going, well, are there other people out there? Are there other options? Are there other choices? Like, am I wasting my time? You know, there's a connection here and it's very strong, but are there other people out there that would be a better match? And it's not even like there's something wrong with him, you know, it's just more kind of like you going like, is this going to be my life? And you have to understand they're a Sag rising, okay? And these are the bachelors of the zodiac. And it sounds like also like, you know, there's some other kind of like mutable in there. So Cancer, Sun, Gemini, Moon. So the 7th house, obviously, you know, the moon, Jupiter's hitting the moon, which means the partner's supposed to be really kind of enthusiastic about commitment or getting married or growing together, and that's scoring Saturn, which means there's a home or emotional dynamic that needs to change first, right? Or that needs to be figured out. So that might be the block. Then we have the 2 of coins. And this is about weighing your options, reevaluating, kind of going back and forth, being like, well, what are we going to do? And it can mean quite literally, you could find yourself here literally in like, you know, 4 to 8 months. You could be in the same situation where you're like, I thought we were going to make headway. What's going on? What's happening? With the Jupiter-Saturn square, it's very unlikely that there's going to be a huge home or relationship change before the end of the year, okay, for them. For you, you're going to want to watch the retrogrades and the eclipses and the everything happening in the spring. I think that's going to be a bigger turning point. If you're meant to leave a relationship or have a relationship change, you will. If you're meant to commit more seriously, you may. If you're meant to meet somebody else, you will. You know, and she says, I have asked him and he says the same thing. I will be 40 in Jan and I don't want to waste my time or his. Well, your time, I'm being honest with you, your time is being wasted. Okay, I don't like saying that, but I can say that because of your astrology. Your time is being wasted because you have 29 degrees on your 4th house, on your 7th house cusp. And it means that something is needing to change or come to an end, or that this person needs to let go of any sense of self-sabotaging or fear or avoidance that's keeping you from committing more seriously. That's what's happening right now. And Jupiter is in your 10th house, which means it's game on. You're supposed to be expanding your career, expanding your status in the world, committing to partners, having a status change. You know, it's him. I know that through your chart because it's 29 degrees. So it's them that has a lack of clarity. I'll go as far as saying this. I feel like the Mercury retrograde that's about to happen is about you reevaluating, what do I want in my home life, right? Do I see myself settling into this city? Do I see myself buying a house? Do I want to live with somebody? Do I want to get married? Do I still want to have kids? What do I want to do? And really asking yourself these questions outside of this relationship, just with you. And then the retrograde opposition to Jupiter in your 10th is, how do I make that happen? And like, what kind of a partner do I need to make that feasible? And then the squares to Saturn, is the person that I'm with the right person if this is what I want to do? And you may communicate and express that. And you may get to the end of the year and feel like, okay, you know, now I have a better understanding of what I want. Am I with the right person? Frankly, the timeline is up in the spring for your chart, babe. As soon as Venus and Mercury go retrograde, forget it. If you're not getting what you need from a partner, it's going to be very obvious, and like there will be some cosmic rearranging, and there could be a sense of you giving somebody an ultimatum or being like, you know, I'm out because you don't seem to know what you want. That will be the hard realignment point. But the cards are saying that, you know, if you're so infatuated with the idea of this person or the relationship that you're just willing to take them however you can, and you know, it's fine, eventually that will feel unfulfilling. You'll feel like you're stalling. You'll feel like it's not going anywhere. And then you're going to start reevaluating, being like, oh my God, am I wasting my time? Should I leave? When in reality, I think this is about you considering other options. 10 of Cups is your confirmation card. So it's saying that it will end well in the end. You could use the Mercury-Venus retrograde next year where, like, let's say you give this until February, March, and you're still not seeing anything changing. You're not seeing any further commitment. You guys aren't making plans to move in together or buying a house or getting married or talking about the future. At that point, you could retreat, right? Mercury retrograde from the relationship, take some space from the relationship, let them think about it, process it, vanish. Literally, Pisces is vanishing. Give yourself some time, you know, to really be away from that person and either explore other relationships or let that person sit and think about it and process and decide if they're really ready to move forward. But that's going to be such a significant turning point for you that you also have to be prepared that with planets retrograding over 29 degrees of Pisces, it can be showing you if somebody just isn't cut out for what you're looking for, if they just aren't going to show up, if they're not going to evolve, if they're not going to be vulnerable, if they're not going to open themselves up, that these are things that you're going to need to know. And they might start kind of showing you some of these traits, and that can be a really kind of make or break time. In the end, the 10 of Cups is saying you're supposed to be focusing on where you're going, what you're doing, and what you're hoping to achieve. Get clarity about what you want. Don't sit there and go, well, you're not telling me, or, you know, you haven't talked about the future. No, get clear about what you want. That way you can sit down with him over the next couple months and be like, this is what I want. Do you want to do this with me? Oh, you don't know. Okay, well, I know what I want. You know, I'm sure. And you could give that window, that February through April time period, you know, if you guys do take some space, giving him the opportunity to realize that you mean business, if potentially you were to explore what else is out there, so he realizes that you're not just going to wait around. But do not wait around for this person to make a decision. The cards are saying that if you do that, you're going to be 6 to 8 months down the road, and you're going to be in the same situation. And you're going to be wondering why nothing has changed, because there is like a sense of complacency, you know, in the relationship between the two of you. And it's not that there's anything wrong, but it's that it's coming to that turning point that's like, okay, are we doing this or are we not doing this? You know, where are we going? And I don't think it's unreasonable to be asking him those questions. Okay. I hope that's helpful for you. Sounds very much like Saturn and Neptune in your 7th house. And it's hard to make decisions when Neptune's conjunct your 7th house cusp, but Saturn will come in and it'll help you kind of get the clarity that you need, you know? So I hope that's helpful for you, Amanda. Save this, bookmark this reading, because you will probably come back and be like, holy shit, you know, when you see that retrograde next year, and you're going to be like, this is exactly what happened. So yeah, that's going to be a real fun retrograde for everybody. Venus and Mercury retrograde, all conjunct Saturn and the North Node, and then there's eclipses. Like, oh man, that's going to be one heck of a spring next year. So with that being said, that is everybody for me. Thank you guys for hanging out with me on Friday. I will be back next Friday for a full moon reading, review astrology readings for the full moon in Taurus. So make sure you're subscribed, give me a thumbs up.
You can catch me here every Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday, giving you guys tarot and astrology, Sabian symbols, predictions for what's going on in the world, and much, much more. And if you guys want to see more about my work, if you want to book a reading with me, if you want to have a personalized 101 tarot and astrology reading, you can. Check out my website and my links below at beyondtheveiledtarot.com. I am now selling gift cards for the holidays. We also have these beautiful new 2025 Astro calendars where I do the major ingress transits for the entire year. I give you guys rituals, stones, herbal recommendations, oil recommendations, and there is a 3-card tarot spread each month. So this is a brand new format that we're doing for 2025. We have a digital version as well as a beautiful print stock version that you guys can pick up if you head over to beyondtheveiledtarot.com. Click my calendars page. You guys can see these calendars. You can also see the personalized year ahead transit calendar that integrates directly into your digital calendar, both for Apple Calendar as well as Google. So head over to beyondtheveiledtarot.com to see all that. Or you can learn how to read tarot with me. I have a beginner's 101 course, so check that out as well. That's it for me. You guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. You take care, and I'll see you back here for Astro Weather on Sunday.